Welcome everyone to the Charter Township of Washington Regular Board of Trustee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. Tonight we have, I have Kathy here from the Samaritan House. I'd like to invite her to come up to the podium and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance from the Samaritan.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you for allowing me to come up tonight. Thank you so much. We celebrate 30 years in the community this year, and I just want to thank the township and everybody that supports us. We couldn't do it without you. This past year, we helped 2,949 families right here in the community, spending over $230,000 to stock our pantry shelves. We helped 208 families at Christmas. We deliver to homebound clients that can't get out. That was 500 this past year. We distributed 207 Thanksgiving baskets, 213 Easter baskets. We got new coats and boots supplied for 56 children. 75 families took part in our summer nutrition program, which is a program where we give gift cards for families that have children when they're home for the summer months. We also just had our pasta dinner. Thank you, Sam, for coming and supporting us for that. We raised $20,000. That's enough to stock our pantry for about a month and a half. Our next big fundraiser is our golf outing. That's July 25th at Greystone. So if anybody would like to sponsor that, reach out to us. We're hoping to raise about $50,000 for that event. That's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And again, thank you for letting me, lead the Pledge of Allegiance, and I appreciate everybody. And we want to get that new building going. We're hoping to break ground by spring. So thanks, everybody.
Great.
Thank you. I wanted to present this little proclamation on behalf of the board to the Samaritan House for 30 years anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Take her paper out of her hand.
Wow.
Thank you. Photographer.
Nice picture.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sam. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, then I'll ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
Herviti.
Present.
Brown. Present. Nicely.
Here.
Chaplin.
Here.
Mylum.
Here.
Reinhold.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here. Okay, all present. Next, you see the agenda before you. If there's any additions, deletions, or motions. I would like to ask if it's okay with the board if I do the public hearing after all the business, just because some people in the audience are waiting if anybody has an issue with that.
No.
I'll move 9 to after all the number 11s, just to speed up the meeting.
11:10.
Yeah, or just rearrange 9-1 to the end. But.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so if not, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next, you're being asked to approve the consent agenda. You're asked to be approved the accounts payable of February 27, 2025, approve the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting of February 19, 2025, and accept the Planning Commission meeting minutes of January 9, 2025.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. There's no moved agenda items. Next is comments from the audience on agenda items only. 3 minutes. State your name and address. You can come to the podium. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you. Next is legal counsel.
Nope, all set.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to number 10, unfinished business. Approve the request for second extension of the Altair Active Adult Development to be completed by June 17, 2027. We have the applicant here, Mr. Phil Ruggieri. Basically, he's asking for a 2-year extension due to economic needs, basically. He's here if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2-year extension.
Second.
Seconded by Audrey Brown. Any questions?
I do. I got a couple. In your letter, sir, I was reading it. There was really no clear definition on what reasonable construction costs would be to get the project started. And then what is your reasonable interest rate to get things started? So if they remain the same the way they are today, are we going to be back here in 3 years doing the exact same thing? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's a very good question. This project, when we started it more than 2 years ago, the pro forma and the projections of the cost were somewhere in the vicinity of 10 to 12 million. Interest rates were at the 5% and below level at that point. Since that time, we're at 7.5 to 8.5% rate. Costs for this project are 18 to 20 million versus that. So you're looking at almost doubling the cost of the project. And a lot of it is artificial increases in pricing due to the COVID situation, the administration that we've had prior to this last election. There's a lot of factors that had come into play, and not a lot has changed since my last request. Those costs are still artificially high. The rates are still significantly high. And I feel very comfortable with this new administration. We'll start seeing things turning the other way to make it reasonable. Now the cost, if it's in that range on the low end from 12 to 15 million, it becomes a real sensible project. And the rates, if we can accept 6%, I think at that point it would make things work. But if you keep the numbers that we have now, it's not going to work. And I have a complementary development in Shelby Township with almost identical, it's called Altier as well. That's 96 units, and that's on hold as well. This one is more advanced because we've gone all the way to approvals of engineering and so on. We've got construction drawings, building plans all approved. All we have to do is pay our permits and have a pre-con meeting, and it's off to the races. Whereas Shelby, we had to stop short of final engineering. So this one would be the first to go once we get our handle on it, and we're going to have to monitor it. It's like everything else. But right now, it's cost prohibitive, and being a zoning attorney, I've had a lot of clients do the same thing. These projects are being shelved. The big boys themselves that do 200-300 units, they're shelving the projects right now. You just can't do them. Otherwise, you got to charge rents that are out of control. People can't afford it. So we don't build to lose it. We build it to make money, and this will not make money under these conditions.
Do you actually think the costs are going to go down?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I think especially with the oil prices the way they are, they have a big factor in the pricing for everything, especially in the construction business. A 20% reduction is significant, and that'll affect a lot of the materials. Some of the costs are not going to change. The old theory is that when prices get high, they don't drop. But eggs are at $10 a dozen. They're not going to stay that way. They used to be 99 cents or $2. So sometime, eventually they're going to come down to $3 or $2.50 a dozen. And we feel that the construction business will too.
How will we know down the road, you're going to say, we now see the prices have gone down, the interest has gone down, that you're going to come back and say, I'm ready to start?
I think I'll know within a 6-month period of this year. I'll start, because we monitor it all the time. I will get a feel for the costs, what direction they're going in. Is it reasonable to anticipate that they'll come down low enough so that we can start the project and then get it done within the time frame? I mean, I think the whole project would only take us about a year to do. So, and we're so advanced at the stage, we can pull the trigger for the permits and go. We have the Eagle permit. We've got everything. So it's not like we have to wait. I monitor it every month. So it's not like just sit there and don't do anything. I've got a whole team. There's 3 of us that are principals, and we watch this. I'm going to start my project on 27 of Van Dyke, the retail center and the outlot that I have there next to the cement plant. We're starting that. We're getting our last bid. Should be in by Wednesday next week, and we're going to start. I met with Rich and the team, and we paid our permit fees. We're going forward. It's a lot smaller project. And we're going to put a substantial amount of our equity into it, so we don't have to borrow as much, and the cash flow will make sense. You know, you're talking about a $10 million deal versus 20, big difference.
There is, so.
You know, and it's all retail, it's all rental, so you got cash flow, like, you got 5 units, and then you got another outlot, so you're dealing with 6 entities versus 90 entities.
Sure. Yeah, I was just, a little question about what was your normalcy to bring it back down?
My normal what, I'm sorry?
Well, it just says in here that we are commencing when normal rates and normal interest rates were back. I'm
Yeah.
just curious what your.
Yeah, I did it on a generic basis, you know, what I feel is reasonable, what works in a pro forma, and 6% or less works. So that's the interest rate. And the cost, you get it close to a $15 million cost, and I'll do it. If it stays at 18 to 20, I'm not going to do it. Scrap it, and it goes back to commercial, and we'll get our thinking hats on again and figure something else out. But I don't, at this stage of my life, I don't build things just out of risk, and I don't like to high leverage my assets. I put a lot of equity into my projects, and I build very nice quality projects, and I'm not going to cheapen it. I want it to be built right. It's there to last. And I want it nice for the community. It's on 26 Mile, so it's going to be a very focal point for the community. So, and we had it approved under that basis. So it's worth waiting, and I appreciate your patience on it, but it's just a real tough time for not only myself, but a lot of my colleagues and other investors. You know, there's not a lot of people building a lot of apartments. Even in the city of Detroit, a lot of things have been held. We're not alone, and we're small potatoes next to some of these big-time developers that do, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 and 500 units at a time. I see, and I follow the market well. Down south in Miami, they've stopped a lot of projects. There's a lot of foreclosures that are going on, too. You don't hear about that, but it's there. So we don't want to mess. We want to build something that's going to work, not work.
No, I want to say thank you. I'm just curious what your.
No,
What you thought
I
the
like the
goals.
questions, and I got nothing to hide, you know, and that's why I'm asking, you know, for your approval, because I think we need to work as a team. You know, we went through the exercise of getting it approved. We spent a lot of money. I've got $250,000 invested in engineering, architectural fees. I got permits. You know, there's a lot involved. I don't want to see that go by the wayside either. But I need some help from your end, and you've been great to work with, and I want to continue that relationship.
The only reason I'm a little skeptical, and I think you're going to follow through on your word, is we've done this before with some land sales, and it never developed, and we kept on extending it, and eventually they just gave up on it.
I'd like this to be my last extension. I don't want to have it ad infinitum.
Good, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I ask, what materials are you looking for the cost to come down? Lumber? What are the major components that you need cost?
You know, anything that's oil-based, you got, you know.
Is it steel or lumber or what?
Steel's
what
a
is-
factor. Steel's a big factor. The drywall, the shingles, those things are all, you know,
All the building materials.
they're all oil-based, and they're still high. And then the shipping and so on, the supply. So there's an artificial, you know, denial of supply. We've been shipping so much stuff out of the country, it's caused a shortage here, and it's caused our numbers to go up. China bought so much of our materials, they built a city that does nothing. They spent several billion, and it took away, about 4 years ago, a lot of our material supplies, so there's a shortage. That's another problem. And now it's changing between getting a nice inventory of goods to buy and getting the cost to come down, and then the rates, I think we're going to be fine. But, you know, you have to ride the storm. We've ridden it pretty well, but like I said, I'm not going to stop, you know, other projects I'm involved in. I've got 5 going on, and I'm starting Washington very soon. And I'm not going to stop that project. But this one here, you're looking for disaster right now.
Trustee Weinhold, are you done? I just have a couple of questions. Are you going to hold the property after, or will you be the renter of the property after?
No, our group, there's 3 of us, we're going to own the property. This one in Shelby is for a long-term
So
investment.
with that said, isn't rents going up right now? Wouldn't you make it on the back end with your rentals?
Well, that's a good question. Problem is, like every community, there's a certain rent that you can afford. And when you start crossing that line, it's not affordable.
I mean, I know
And
the
at the
data
cost
supports
structure
it.
that we have right now and the debt structure that would be implemented in the pro forma, your rent would probably have to be north of $3,000, $3,500 a month. In a similar project you have with LaChurco on Shelby Road in 25, which is a 55 and up community, he's getting $900 for a one-bedroom, $1,200 for a two-bedroom. Now, it's not as nice, but it is a nice
I
facility.
haven't seen that number.
Pardon me?
I haven't seen that number.
Yeah, I have. I just talked to somebody today about it. His uncle's in there. He's 81 years old, and I asked him, what's the current rate?
So question, so, because I'm new to this, how many years have you been in this project? So this is a second extension. How many years has this been going on?
Well, we started about 4 years ago.
So in the last 4 years, it hasn't been economically feasible for you to make this project happen?
It was 4 years ago when we started. For a couple of years, then we didn't start it at that point. And rates got crazy right away. They just jumped up. They went from 4%, which was unheard of, and that would have made the project just tremendous. And then all of a sudden it jumped up, 9, 8.5%, 9%.
So you're talking the interest rates on you getting the money to do the project?
Well, I'm not going to go in my pocket and put 20 million down. I can tell you that. Okay, I got better things to do than put all my eggs in one basket. But I'm going to put a sizable amount of equity. You're talking about anywhere from 5 to 7 million I'm going to have to do.
Right. So in
if
the
I want to
past
do
4
the
years,
project.
it hasn't been enough for you to want to take the risk in the past 4
Yeah,
years?
I don't want to. I didn't want to put that kind of money into a deal. I don't do that. 20%, 25% I'll do. I'm not going to put 50% or 60%.
Did you
That's
say there
just
was
that's
three
crazy.
of
Then
you?
it'll stop me from doing a lot of other projects, and it's just crazy.
And there's 3 investors, did you say, 3?
Yes, there's 3 of us, and we've all been very successful in developing. And it's not that it's not a question of whether we have the money or not. It's just not good business sense to put
Sure.
that kind of money in it. I'd rather not do it.
I appreciate that, absolutely.
So you haven't broken ground on anything yet, right?
No.
Okay, so if you were to, if you were to break ground today, what's your if you were to jump into this today, what's your timetable for completion?
1 year.
About a year. So that would push you till this time next year, or a little past.
Right.
summer of next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would start it as soon as I think things reach a normalcy level, then we would start from that point.
If you weren't to get the extension, what are your plans? Would you abandon the project, or would you move forward just, and take the risk?
Would I abandon the project, or, well, like I said, if the costs come down to a reasonable level, along with the rates, we'll start the project. If it's not going to, I'll just not do the project. I don't want to wait another 2 years and be back here.
Right.
I'd rather find something else to do with it. I mean, this property was owned commercial, and that's a significant value by itself. And I changed it to a product that I thought would be more in conformity of the needs here in Washington Township, 55 and over. A nice high level, because I've been in the senior housing business, and I thought a hybrid form of development of that nature would fit very nicely here. And that's why I did that. But, commercial is very valuable. Retail, you got to be careful. But I don't know if you want another strip center.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ruggiero, one more question. So is it similar to Redwood?
No.
No, it's
No,
different.
there's only 2 buildings.
Okay.
3-story.
I see.
Far different. Redwood is
Not
a
as spread out.
single-story
Right.
garage unit.
Correct.
Yeah. No.
Where's this project at?
It's on 26 Mile. It is east of the Van Dyke E-Way, and it's just west of that Mr. C's Car Wash complex. There's a condominium complex behind us. And they like the project, as long as we have adequate buffering and landscaping, which we did. We have 10 acres, we're only building on 7.5 acres, we're building on about 5. We're conserving the wetland area, the big conservation area. So it's good screening and so on. Then to the west is a trailer park,
Dana,
modular homes.
if we grant this extension, does it pose any practical difficulties for what's currently in the planning department? I mean, with the timeframes, applications, permits, things like that?
No, because it's already past that point. He's already through with, he's in Rich's court right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, it doesn't impact anything in planning and zoning.
Okay. And then same question to you, Rich, extension, does that affect you in any way negatively, or?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Motion by Praviti, seconded by Audrey to extend the request till June 17, 2027. If no other questions, roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Nicely?
Yes.
Chaplin?
Yes.
Reinhold?
Yes.
Stevenson?
Yes.
Mylum?
No.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Fun to
it.
hear, grants.
Thanks for allowing me to be bumped up, too.
Yeah.
You too, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, we'll go into new business. 11.1, approve a request for an application of farmland development rights agreement. This is the applicant here. If you could go to the podium, sorry. Yeah, I guess if you could state what you were.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
My name is Peter DeBaney. I've owned the property about 10 years and lived there the last 6.5 years. I just recently found out that if I farmed 51% of the land, that I could get a tax credit from the state of Michigan. So I was seeking, to do that. The process involves me submitting some paperwork to you, make sure that everything's in order, and then, my understanding is it gets forwarded to Lansing for their approval. So I submitted everything as requested in the packet. The land, as I bought it, half of it was already cleared. I didn't really do anything. The other half's wooded where, I reside. And it just doesn't make sense for me to be farming unless, there's somewhat of an incentive, for a tax credit. So figured I'd take on the venture that way.
Okay.
So-
Our assessor didn't know it.
I'm so sorry. So who is going to do the farming?
Actually, a friend of mine owns the machinery, so I'm going to work with him. I haven't really farmed before, so it'd be a joint thing between me and him. He farms, like 40 acres in one spot, and I think about 50 or 60 in another spot, so
Thank you.
Okay.
Ray Township area.
So I looked at the application you sent in, and listening to you, it looks like your intention is to farm, but you're not actively farming yet.
Right, it's just been sitting vacant,
So-
that's just a field.
Okay.
It has a drain running through it. There's 38 acres that's west of me, and then the drain originates in the sod farm that's west of him, and then it runs through my land, but other than that, there's, nothing over there.
Right. And I looked at your property. It's a really nice piece of property over there.
Thank you.
The thing you're going to run up against is that in order to get into that program, you have to be actively farming. So you're a little ahead of the game. What you need to do is start the farming process, and then once you have commercial farming income from that property, then you can come back to next season and apply for the program.
Okay, it said, have everything done by November 1st. So, and a lot of these things talk about 45 days with you, 60 days with them, so that wouldn't line up to get me a tax credit this year. So I'd be putting out thousands of dollars, for seed and
Right.
Diesel and different things like that. And then I wouldn't have the tax credit this year.
Correct. You wouldn't be able to get the tax credit until you were engaged in a commercial farming operation.
It
That's what
doesn't really say that in this application.
That's what my understanding is of this
Is
program.
there somewhere that you can point me to that you read that?
I can at some point, not immediately here because I don't have all the websites from MDARD in front of me. But the thing that they're looking for is, and one of the requirements for eligibility is you have to have income from farming. And,
Right.
And,
I can say I could throw 40 chickens out there and probably make $2,500 just doing eggs. That's all I need for 13 acres is a couple
Well, then-
$100 an acre.
But you've got to, you need $200 an acre, but you've got to have 40 chickens there in order to apply.
Well, I can buy 40 chickens this
I-
spring, but what I'm saying is I don't want to be coming back here doing all this, delaying things for 6 months or a year. I don't believe that you're correct in that I have to
Yeah.
show you that I went to the market, sold my goods, and this is the retail that I got from it.
Yeah, I spoke to our assessor. She wasn't aware of this. Like, I apologize, this even made it to the agenda without running it by her. But,
Well, we have 45 days to do our due diligence on this, and then,
Right.
and then make a recommendation to the state. So
Right, my
I mean, I'd like
understanding
to
is
table
just
this,
this,
I think, till we get more information.
I think, yeah, we need to do a little more investigation to make sure that we're clear on the terms on this, because, this is a relatively, unknown program for a lot of people. But what I did some investigation on this. As a matter of fact, tomorrow night, the PDR is meeting, and the gentleman that runs this program for the state is going to be there, and I'll have a chance to speak with him. So I can get a lot more information on exactly what the requirements are. But, as I understand it, there actually has to be an ongoing farming interest before you become eligible for the program.
yeah, as soon as you.
And I get it's not ideal, you'd like to get in and get the tax credits before you expend the money.
Well, it needs to be done by November 1st is what the application says, so.
But we'll
yeah,
check
if
in
we-
on our end and see if
I mean, I'm
it's-
going to get everything rolling, but I don't want to go too big if I'm not going to get the credit this year, because it's probably going to be about $35,000 to $4,000.
Right.
For me, so that's pretty significant. Plus, if I, can make a couple $1,000s, with the farming process itself. But if I'm not getting that $3,500, $4,000 in tax credit, I again would like to see where you're reading this.
I would
And,
like to also, if I could
Well,
interject.
if you look at, if I can just answer that real quick, this is the brochure from the Michigan Department of
Yeah.
Agriculture.
Yeah, I forwarded that to you.
And it says right here, you're coming in on the between 5 and 40 acres.
Right?
Okay, a farm must be at least 5 acres, but less than 40 in size, and at least 51% of the land is devoted to agricultural use. And
Right.
You meet that criteria. The agricultural land produces a gross annual income of $200 or more per tillable acre. So you need to have an income. You need to show some income from agricultural sales in order to qualify for this program.
All right.
It says
That's-
only if
But
one
I
of the
have,
following is true.
Yeah, it doesn't say they all needed to be met.
Right.
Just one.
Well, you are not a
I have
specialty
letter.
farm.
Could I interject for a second?
need other people to-
This just came to my office. It was mailed to the clerk's office, and I didn't have time to put it in the agenda, in the packet, because we just got it. And so I apologize I don't have copies of this. But this is a letter from the Blue Water Conservation District. Attention, Washington Township Clerk, that's me. The PA 116 application of farmland agreement for Peter M. Devaney and Lisa Devaney, received on 2/26/25 for the following property. She lists it, your property. We have reviewed it for PA 116 compliance. Accordingly, it is recommended that the application be approved. The application meets the standards set forth by Public Act 116. Thank you, Megan Wegas, Blue Water Conservation District. So I just received this letter, so that's one group saying that he does meet it. So I know there's different variations of it, but the Blue Water Conservation District,
I'd feel more comfortable talking to our assessor before voting on
yeah,
this.
I don't know.
I did talk to Patty. This has no effect on how the taxes are going to be collected.
No.
We are not the board of the Michigan representatives to dictate what's going to happen after that. That's his responsibility. All he needs our approval to continue on the process to collect his tax credit before he can submit anything else to the state. So some people are trying to say is, well, you need to do this and this and this. Well, that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is just to say, yes, we'd like to see him move forward, or no, we don't want to see him move forward. That's it. It has no effect on how property taxes are going to be collected, and we don't have the right to dictate to the applicant on how he needs to proceed from here. That's all we're.
Right, my understanding was the state simply wants to make sure that I'm in the right zone to be farming. I have the right, setup as far as the land. 51% of it or more is available to be farmed. That was my understanding, and I
Your
agree.
zone, Class A, which is over 20 acres,
Yeah.
and your zone for farming.
Right.
That's the only thing that we as a township really need to concern about. Whatever goes on forward from there, that's what you have to work with.
Yeah, I'll deal with the state on that.
Supervisor Privity, based on the information Treasurer Nicely just shared, are you more comfortable with voting on this tonight, or do you still like to hold?
I guess not. Patty didn't tell me that this morning, that's why I'm
Yeah.
confused.
Well, it sounds like Treasurer Nicely had the opportunity.
Okay.
Does that mean, Treasurer Nicely, you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept the applicant, Peter
DeBaney.
DeBaney,
Yeah.
for the farmland open space program. Not we're regulating it, but we're just giving him, is okay to go forward, whatever he needs to do with the state.
I'll second that.
Did you get all that down already?
Okay, motion by Nicely, seconded by Mylum. If no questions, roll call.
Nicely,
Yes.
Mylum,
Yes.
Praviti,
Yes.
Brown, yes. Chaplin,
No.
Reinhold,
Yes.
and Stevenson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, good luck with the state.
Thank you for your time, folks.
By the
Make
way,
us proud with all that stuff, Hal.
by the way, here.
If you saw legs, let us know.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is 11.2. This is, we have a request from the IT committee. I'll be talking about it later in our budget, to do a first down payment of $48,705 in the current fiscal year, so we can lock in the prices for our BSNA cloud, which we plan to put not in the upcoming year, but following that year. So it basically locks in our place with BSNA in the future year. There'll be 2 payments after that. Again, this is like a down payment, just basically to lock in our payment. So, I don't know. Any questions on that? I know Audrey,
Well,
John, and
John,
Dennis
we're
on
on
the
the
committee.
IT committee.
No, it just simply, it holds our place in line that while we get some things, sorted out. They're in development.
For the night.
And it locks in our pricing, and gives us an opportunity to buy at today's price a year from now. So really, it allows them some time to improve the product, because after doing some research, there were some issues with some modules that the township did find that they said they're working on fixes for, and that they should have those coming shortly. So if we hold off, we lock our pricing in, we should get a better product at the same rate. So that's what we're recommending going
For the
forward with
public
this.
that doesn't know what BSNA is, that's the software for all municipalities, and the version we're using is becoming obsolete, so eventually we're going to have to go to this iCloud version, so that's why we're taking the steps to lock in the price for today, and not only will this help the software, but it actually help improve all the departments and help it work more efficiently as well. So
I
is
make
there
a motion that we approve the request of IT committee to pay the first down payment of $48,705 in the current fiscal year to lock in prices of the BSNA cloud.
Support. He beat me to it. Yep.
Okay, motion by Brown, seconded by Stevenson. If no questions,
Got a
roll
couple
call.
years on me, but he's quick.
Brown, yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Praviti.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next is approve resolution 25-02. It's the deficit elimination plan, a capital improvement fund. For those of you that were around in September, this was highlighted in our annual budget, our annual audit with Plant Moran. This was basically a deficit that was from the capital expenditure. The journal entry was made, but through research, we found out it was fat-fingered into 2 different accounts, and it's gotten corrected now. So Audrey's been working with the accounting and to get that corrected, and we got that submitted.
But I
to
make
the
a
state.
motion for discussion, if I could?
Okay, I'm not even done explaining. Everybody wants to be the chair tonight.
No, I thought you were done. I apologize.
No, go for it.
I'm sorry.
I do want to bring it up because I'm sure it's going all over. Texts are being sent out that we're in some sort of disarray with money, apparently. This is a deficit elimination plan. This has been noted for 9 months. Apparently, it's hot news tonight. Again, this is a journal entry. It's happened. We're fixing it. We fixed many roads last year, and that's why we spent money on capital improvements in the township. Again, the journal entry wasn't made due to a change in finance director. So that's my 2 cents. Audrey would like open discussion.
I would.
Yeah.
And the reason I would like to discuss a little bit is because the finance department is under the clerk. And it ultimately falls under my responsibility. And I have Christine Carowin here, who is my finance director, and we would like to just explain a couple of things. And you're right, the journal entry has been made, but I think people are asking about it, and we just want to show them where we were and what we've corrected and where we are now. So that's what I'd like to do.
Clerk Brown, may I ask a question?
Yes.
When did this happen? Date and time, like when did this happen? Under the other administration or under your clerkship?
It was under
You'll
before
find out.
March of 2024.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, what?
so this happened with the previous clerk? You didn't, you had nothing to do with it.
No, but
No,
they're
Audrey.
trying to blame it on me tonight.
No,
That's
I'm
what the
saying,
point
Audrey,
is.
your department, this didn't happen.
I've
No,
already
I'm
been
saying,
told by
Audrey,
several
it happened
people, so
what?
it's not a surprise. So.
But Audrey, this didn't happen when you were in office, is what I'm saying.
No, it's not Audrey's fault.
Okay,
It's no
I
one's
didn't-
fault.
I'm just asking a
It was
question.
a clerical error
I
in
think
the
it's
journal entry.
important when we
Okay.
Because we're having texts sent out to the public, so it's important. We should discuss it.
I don't know what you're talking about right now, but what I do know is if it happened before and it's corrected.
I have a little PowerPoint of the history, so
Okay.
that people know what has been happening.
Very good.
And my
Thank you.
department has been working very diligently on it, and it's
you.
important.
While I've been doing the budget, they've been doing that.
Okay?
It's important,
We
of
worked really
course.
hard on this.
Of course, I agree.
Christine? Okay. You can start the PowerPoint. I think it's important, this is a deficit elimination plan. Okay, I just put a little timeline together because it's important that people understand it because they might not, okay? This goes back to, and again, it was before a lot of us were sworn in, but it's important that people know what has happened and what is fixed. 10/27/23, we were given from the Treasury that we had to do a corrective action plan. Corrective action plans are very common. They come after the auditor does the audit. They send a plan, Plant Moran sends a plan to their report to the Treasury, and then they have us do a corrective action plan of the points that came up from the audit. That's very common. Next, please. And then going to 7/15/24, next slide. When our plan year ends, I shouldn't say plan year, our fiscal year ends 3/31. The new fiscal year starts 4/1, and you have to do a qualifying statement. So last summer, you do a qualifying statement, then you get a corrective action plan. Those are common. This qualifying statement last summer with the previous clerk, it was late, but they did get it done. So next slide. Okay, keep going. Then 9/19. Plant Moran submitted audit findings saying that there were some deficiencies that needed to be corrected, including cash and investment reconciliations, unspent bonds, capital assets, debt recording, and payroll system settings. Next. They recommended that the township have a process in place for communicating with the treasurer's office to ensure that funds are appropriately being accounted for between the different funds. So that's really a common thing that the Treasury is in charge of the revenue, the clerk's office, the finance spends the money, does the payroll, and does expenditures and that sort of thing. Next slide, 9/23. This was and I must admit, a lot of this has happened because we've had several finance directors in 1 year, a lot. So you have different people taking care of the funds. It's confusing. There's room for error. So I'm just saying at this time, the treasurer instructed that finance director to move some money from the Huntington bond funds to the general fund. Next slide. This is in September. A few days later, that finance director no longer works at the township, so those funds didn't get transferred from those bonds and they were recently transferred in March. Next slide. October 1st, 24, here is the corrective action plan that was recommended from the Treasury for the findings of the audit. This one came October 1st, 24. Unlike the previous year, 10/1/23, that corrective action plan, which is a common thing, was done quickly and it was turned into the Treasury, no problem. This one came out October 1, 24. That was the first notice. Next slide. Next slide, okay. Okay, and then next one, there's a little timeline here. And then we had, 11/1/24, this is the same corrective action plan. I think you skipped a slide, but you might have. Okay, 10/1, we got a corrective action plan and a notice for a deficit elimination plan. Now, a lot of townships get a corrective action plan. It's really common, that's not a big deal. It's very uncommon to have a deficit elimination plan. This is the first time Washington Township has ever had it, and that was in October of 24. Next slide. And then we had a second notice for the corrective action plan that wasn't done, just never got turned in, probably because we didn't have a finance director at that time, November 1st. Next slide. And then we have another notice came out November 1st, a final notice of delinquency. This is for the deficit elimination plan. And in this letter, it says that if you don't turn in, they give you with the first letter, they give you 30 days to respond. The second letter, they give you 2 weeks. So they're telling you if you don't respond, get this deficit elimination plan turned into the Treasury, they're going to start withholding funds, which is 25%. Next slide. They were going to withhold 25% of revenue sharing. And the amount that they were withholding is $308,769. Next slide. And then we come to November 20th, 24. So what happens then? We have 4 new members of the board sworn in, me, the clerk, Trustee Chaplin, Trustee Milam, Trustee Reinhold. So none of us were here when all of that was happening.
Thank you.
No, you weren't. And I'm just saying it has a lot to do with having 4 finance directors in 1 year. There's a lot of things that can go awry. Next slide. On my second day here, I had a meeting with the treasurer and the supervisor, and I did have a copy of one of the corrective action letters from the Treasury. I showed it to them, and they said that the Plant Moran was working on it. So next slide. We have Christine Carowin is my finance director, but we also have a really awesome interim finance director who has come working part-time in between all the other finance directors that we had. So Christine Carowin helped the supervisor with work on the corrective action plan in November. And just so you know, in the state of Michigan, there are 1,240 townships, and of the 1,240, there's only 20 that have a deficiency, so it's not that common. So we really needed to get this corrected. The holidays went by, things happened, and then January 31st, I got a call from Jeff Schwartz, who is with the Michigan Department of Treasury, asking me, because I'm the clerk and finance is under me, when the deficit elimination plan was going to be done and the corrective action plan. I told the supervisor about it. He was working on it. The budget came up. He had a lot of things going on. It didn't get done. Next slide. I got the copy of the audit from Treasurer Nicely to work on with the deficit elimination plan, 211. Okay. So on 212, and I want to say that it's kind of, we really wanted to get this done because townships are not able, I'll read this to you. You are not able, according to Public Act 2 of 1968, the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, you cannot adopt a budget amendment or adopt a budget if you were in a deficit state. So we were really trying to get this done. So I talked to Supervisor Praviti, and he agreed that my department should work on this because he had budgeting things to do, which we understand. So my department took it over. Christine Carwin worked very hard on it with Pam Brashy and my team, and we did a lot of drilling down. I learned that term. And to really make things balance out, the revenue and the expenditures. So it was a lot of work, but we did get it done. Next slide. Okay, next slide. So Christine was going to show you, now Christine can talk a little bit about the deficit elimination plan. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So as Clerk Brown discussed, we have been working directly with Jeff Schwartz with the Michigan Treasury Office. The specifications with the deficit elimination plan has gotten very stringent over the last several years, including the responsibility to bring it to you as the board to let you know for full transparency. We did take several letters that had been submitted that did not meet their criteria. What we found was not so much what the problem was, but what we needed to do to resolve it. That's your spreadsheet on your page 52. So basically that's your 3-year plan of how we intend to resolve this. Clearly, if it had been resolved within the time frame of the budget that we are discussing, which would have been the 23-24 budget, this would not have been an issue. And the fact that it didn't get done just puts us into this under scrutiny from the Department of Treasury. We have been working quite directly with Mr. Schwartz, and while he could not approve this plan until it actually went to the board and received resolution approval, he has looked at our numbers. He says that in his, he obviously couched it very well. That said, it looks great, get your board. So that's where we're here today. We're asking for your approval of this resolution, 25-2, the deficit elimination plan for our capital improvement fund, which will clear up this in a timely manner so that we can move forward as we wrap up this fiscal year, which of course ends March 31st. We will be going into the fiscal audit now. And so if we can get this cleared up tonight, then we can get it submitted to Treasury, and given the timeliness, hopefully get it approved by the Department of Treasury to close out the fiscal year.
And also, if I could add, the corrective action plan does not require board approval, only the deficit elimination plan, okay? So that's why we've never had a deficit elimination plan before. This is our first time and hopefully the last time ever, because Christine and her team have put a lot of safeguards in place, and we're working with the Treasury as well. We just wanted you to see what had transpired so people would know and what has happened and where we were and where we are now, and this is where we want to stay. So I think we feel really confident with the safeguards and other things, the procedures that we put in place, that this will not occur again.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with discussion the resolution 2025-02 deficit elimination plan. The discussion is, number one, thank you so much for stepping up and doing this. Clearly, this falls on people that are no longer here, so it's sad that we have to even talk about this or have this discussion, but I'm glad that we're not going to see this happen in the future. I see the notes from the supervisor completely supporting you in your findings. I see that everybody currently on staff is on board. I hope you feel supported in your position, because it does look good that you found this, and I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into it. As far as who can take ownership of this, they're not here anymore, so I feel like we do need to approve this deficit and move forward. Thoughts?
Support your motion.
I've got two.
Yeah.
Audrey, you said that this not had occurred in the past, but I have an email from Plant Moran saying that this is very, very similar to what has been done in the past. So before my time, this obviously had occurred.
Oh.
And then you had mentioned on the slide that the funds were transferred. Who authorized to make the transfer of funds? Because I'm the only one that can do that once it's signed off by you.
You gave us the email, and the funds were not transferred because that person doesn't work here anymore, so you gave the authorization to transfer them, to have Pam transfer them, correct?
The treasurer has to.
Oh, the treasurer, pardon
Yeah,
me.
but you said on their slide on March 3rd, the funds were transferred. No funds have been transferred.
You know what, they're going to be transferred when they approve, well, that's what Pam said, that's right. When the board approves it, then you will transfer. No, we haven't transferred. I was saying that when the board approves this, then you will transfer, and then Pam and Christine will make the journal entry. I misspoke. You're correct. I'm sorry. You're right. Right.
I'm confused because Pam told me this was a journal entry error that was fixed, but it hit the wrong journal entry, so it's just a journal entry mistake. Now you guys are telling me a totally different, the funds are misplaced.
It was several items that we found, in balancing out the.
I had the
balancing it.
backup that tied to the penny, that's what Pam told me. She said it went from 669 to 699, the GL account, and now you're going to put into the right account. So
That was one of the
there
corrections.
was no funds missing, there was
No,
capital projects.
I didn't say there was anything missing. No.
Well, that's
There
not
were
what's
jour-
being
no,
interpreted to the
There were
public.
journal entries.
It's just a journal entry issue.
There were incorrect journal entries with the GL numbers. We found that. Some of the numbers were flipped around. Things were put in wrong cost centers. They were just put from all the different finance directors we had. We did a lot of digging and drilling down. I learned that one, to see where the errors were, and things were found. It took a long time. So things are straightened out. They are. It wasn't missing. It just was misclassed, would you say? Is that the word?
I mean, clearly we had an issue.
was
We got a letter from the
misclassed.
governor. Clearly we had an issue. I mean, it's,
It was a GL entry
right.
error, that's all it was.
But the person responsible is no longer here. I mean,
They didn't do it in
thankful you ran
malice,
for
they just hit
office
the wrong
and
journal.
won for a
We
good
just
reason.
don't- Right, but if you look in the Treasury website, you don't want, you look at all the townships. I mean, we don't want to have a deficit, and, we just don't want it to happen again. We don't want it to happen.
There's,
That's all.
Okay, so I have a motion.
I got one other thing. Just, Audrey, you came in kind of blind, so you didn't have any training at all from the previous person, and also kudos for you for trying to get this solved.
I appreciate that, and I'm reading books and learning every day from my great finance team and from you and a lot of people, so I appreciate that, and
So I support it.
one day at a time.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mylum, seconded by Stevenson. If no questions, roll call.
now you got to double dirty. You're doing good, though.
So who was the motion? I'm sorry.
I made the motion.
Mylum and Stevenson.
Mylum was the motion, and who seconded?
Stevenson,
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Mylum,
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Praviti.
yes.
Brown, yes. Nicely.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Now, we have several items. We got the chief up here and Mr. Schmelzer. We have 11.4, request to purchase a new line, a Type 1 ambulance in the amount of $319,634 with a contingency fund of $16,000.
Well said. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Board of Trustees. Thanks for your time tonight. And you're right, I don't know if we overwhelmed, but we certainly added to your board agenda packet. I know we added to the thickness and weight. There are 4 very important initiatives and requests to purchase. There's a lot of money to talk about tonight. So I am looking forward to your questions and your leadership and hopefully approving our requests. This first item, this Lifeline ambulance, I'm sure it looks familiar to you. It was the last meeting in February that it was on the board agenda, and it made it to your packet. And we kind of made a last-minute audible, and we pulled that from your agenda. That sales proposal just was a little bit lean and lacked substance, to kind of plagiarize our legal counsel, Mr. Siebert. And it really never should have made it to you, in my opinion. That extended lead time of almost 3 years on an ambulance, our relationship with Lifeline and our experience with that product, kind of prompted me to get that in front of you. But today, that extra month cleared up some of the questions. For example, the payment options or requirements, there is no prepayment. The balance of that amount will be due at final inspection and delivery and acceptance of the vehicle. The only caveat would be if that Ford chassis comes in ahead of that assembly of the patient compartment box on the chassis. Lifeline will send us an invoice for that chassis. They're trying to do just-in-time inventory on the chassis and the assembly. I believe that we're really close to the amount of about $65,000 for the chassis that we could get billed ahead of delivery. So those are verbal, and we could incorporate that into the sales agreement that Mr. Siebert had looked at, that I guess answered some of the questions and added some content, but still, in the grand scheme of things, lacks, is still a little bit vague. But we're comfortable with the product, we're comfortable with the agreement, and some of the other things that this delay allowed me to do, which was really follow through with due diligence and meet your expectations of getting comparable pricing, right? You didn't see that the first time. This extra month allowed me to reach out to some other vendors that have demo ambulances coming off the line or more readily available that are comparable in terms of the chassis and the make and the model. However, the stuff coming off the line out of these other manufacturers are spec type demo vehicles. It's not our spec, but we did look at that, and our fleet manager also looked at those. One is a Braun ambulance and the other one is a wheeled coach. To my surprise, they were both in the 355 to 360,000 mark, so our Lifeline product is less than that. But that begged the question for the deputy chief and I to weigh that decision right before getting in front of you. Is that extra 40 or 50 grand worth it to us to get an ambulance sooner? And after looking at that and getting input from our paramedic firefighters and mainly our fleet apparatus individual, Matt Alcini, we decided, and we're comfortable with obviously approaching this board with a request to enter into this agreement for the purchase of that Lifeline that's spelled out, that Lifeline ambulance type 1 superliner that's spelled out in your board packet. We're comfortable sustaining and hanging on to that 2017 ambulance that is in a backup role today. And we also know that we also have a redundant non-transporting vehicle, a paramedic engine that would also help us cover any increase in demand or unexpected preventive or unscheduled maintenance issues with our ambulance. A lot of babbling. I know you have a lot of information in front of you in that packet, but I wanted to explain what happened last time and validate why I'm in front of you today asking for permission to enter into that agreement for the amount of, I believe it was $319,000 and some change. The other thing, it does include that $16,000 redundancy added amount.
Okay.
With that, I will take any questions.
If you order this today, it's a year and a half, 2 years out before you would even receive this ambulance?
This one is a 1,095 day build and delivery time, which is 3 years. We're hopeful after kind of speaking with the salesman and watching Lifeline, we'd like to grab that in 2 years, hopefully, but out of our control. So the decision we make today on this, over $300,000 could potentially come out of the budget 3 years from now.
And this item and the other items that you have coming up later on are all budgeted items, and also the contingency funds are also budgeted into these things. So you have the money in your account to make these purchases.
Obviously, this one we will budget 3 years from now, right? I know the deputy chief, we do a 2-year budget outlook, but when we're talking capital asset acquisition 3 years from now, we will certainly get that into the budget and get that approved.
Right. This is replacing the 2017.
Yes.
17 will be just the backup for emergencies.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I'm sure it's in the notes, but I didn't see it. So if the chassis comes in first, that Ford chassis, we wouldn't have a situation where we have a 2026 chassis and a 2029 baggage apparatus.
I love the questions. It's a sharp. You are correct.
Well, I mean, I
wouldn't-
don't want my battery sitting there for a year before it gets used, right?
Right. A few years ago, that was a possibility or probability. Today, We could, depending on the timing when Ford releases the next model year, I don't know when that is, but we could end up with a 2025 Ford F-450 or 550 chassis sitting on a VIN model year Lifeline ambulance of 2026. I think potentially it could be 1 year apart.
Do they give us any guarantees? So when, Mr. Customer, do they say to you, okay, we're going to make sure it's less than 12 months, more than 20,
No.
I feel for you. I know we're in the same mixing bowl. I'm just wondering how we can pressure them to say, hey, we don't want a chassis that's over 12 months.
I do know, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm excited to have this conversation because it just gives you a glimpse, under the rug or behind the curtains here, what actually happens before we stand at this podium and extend your agenda and time at the table. But, there was a time with Lifeline and other ambulances, first of all, that they eliminated our remount POs. That's the other caveat here is we fully intend to remount this ambulance, this Lifeline ambulance 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 times. It's a robust chassis and a robust box we can put on new model years. But there was a time where they rescinded that. We were doing a great job on that. But when we first started engaging this, they wanted us to pay up front for a Ford chassis that we didn't even know when it would come in. So thankfully, they're coming back to some more realistic, I guess, business model approaches. But there is a chance, and it's out of our control, unfortunately, that we will have a 1 year newer chassis sitting on a other different ambulance.
So then does it affect our warranty?
No, and I'm glad you mentioned that because warranty was another thing that was missing in the sales agreement, purchase agreement. I do have all of the manufacturer's warranty. They're very robust, covering, now the Ford chassis is Ford, 3-year, 36,000 miles, pretty much bumper to bumper standard stuff. Everything above and behind that chassis is really robust, limited lifetime warranty on the box, the aluminum, the cabinets. We're very happy with the warranty coverage.
It breaks every 30,000 miles?
Yeah. Great question. Great question.
Okay.
I did have one question. You had referenced the purchase agreement, and you referenced that, you would have liked to see a little more specificity in that. You discussed it with our attorney. Is there anything specific that you were looking for that you weren't finding, or any issues from either of you that we should be aware of that may be of concern?
Yeah, Mr. Siebert, looked at both documents. That first document, I believe, was the sales proposal, and it was vague, and it gave him some heartburn, of course. The thing that, kind of obscured my view was my relationship and our experience with Lifeline. This will be our third Lifeline ambulance. And the customer service and everything was just exceptional. That doesn't mean it can't change like with this one. But so Mr. Siebert and I had conversations. He specifically wanted more detail on payment, prepayment. Warranty was one of those things. And I guess protections for the township. We went back to the salesman and our dealership, our vendor, and they produced a different document, which I believe is deemed a sales agreement, but it's more tailored for fire truck apparatus, I could tell. And Mr. Siebert and I had a good conversation, and I can let him elaborate, but I am standing before you comfortable with this request. I'm comfortable with the vendor, and after researching other, comparable ambulances, I'm comfortable with the price. But other than that, I will let Mr. Siebert, take the floor here and let us know about any exposures to the township.
The original document that Brian had sent over was essentially a purchase order. You're spending the better part of, not $500,000, but you're spending some real money. And it was just a purchase order. It was a one sheet of paper with a purchase order. And questions like, is there a down payment? When is the full amount due? What if it comes in and it's got a defect in it? Things that you would expect if you're going to drop that kind of money. If you're spending $20,000 on this, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, but you're spending a lot of money, and you're not going to see it till the next election cycle. Maybe. Seriously,
Yeah.
You're going to wait 3 years minimum before you see this thing again. So Brian and I had a heart-to-heart about the inadequacies of the first purchase order, and I implored him to get with the sales reps at the vendor Who is the salesman? They're not building it, they're the salesman. They're like going to your auto dealer and buying a car. It's being manufactured by somebody else, but you're buying it through your auto dealership. And Brian went to bat, and they sent over a contract that, you know, it's not Smithsonian Institute quality, but it's way better than what they did. And it references and incorporates as part of the contract the warranties that the manufacturer provides. So when you take the agreement, even though it's not a home run, and you attach to it all the manufacturer's warranties, and you attach the specs, and with the understanding that we don't pay for it until we get it, it's now coming together a little bit. And what gives a little bit more sense of confidence is that this is a vendor that the township has dealt with before. You know, if this was a new vendor that they had never dealt with before, I would have written a letter to the board recommending against it. Seriously, but this is somebody that they have dealt with, who's come through, who's been reliable, and when you take the contract with all the manufacturer's warranties and Brian's indication that they've had a very good relationship with this vendor, I'm as comfortable as I can be with the documents that they have provided, and quite frankly, I don't think you're going to get anything more detailed from them.
Okay. I know Fire Committee looked this over and approved it as well.
I'm going to make the motion to purchase, was somebody talking? I'm sorry.
No, that's good. No, that's good.
To purchase a new Lifeline Type 1 ambulance in the amount of $319,634 with a contingency fund of $16,000.
I support.
Okay, motion by Stevenson, seconded by Mylum. No other questions, then roll call.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Praviti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Brown. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passed. Next is to approve the request to purchase mobile dispatch computers, known as MDC, including docking mounts, antennas, and modems, software, and Wi-Fi GPS equipment at the amount of $63,046.72. This was also vetted through the Fire Committee as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, another somewhat complicated request, only in the terms of like trying to explain what the heck this is, right? And, you know, we try to do that with the history, rationale, and impact stuff that's provided to you in your board packet. Unfortunately, our general public and those watching, unless they're looking at the board agenda packet, really have a hard time keeping up. So at times I do like to just kind of explain what's going on. As I said in the request, we're before you for permission to do a hardware refresh on these MDCs, mobile dispatch computers, the mounts and the modems. You know, all of the stuff that gets the information from dispatch live into the trucks in front of our officers and in front of those folks that are riding on the passenger seat of our vehicles, preparing to manage and respond to, mitigate, and recover from our emergencies. The stuff that we have in our trucks today are about 7 years old, as you can tell through the description. We had budgeted for, based on the dispatch contract through Macomb County, this hardware refresh in 2022. And once again, it's kind of a prevailing pattern here, theme with me, is you know, we did budget for that and then pushed that off a little bit, and we were comfortable with that. And I have no regrets today. However, you know, we are starting to see our modems in our vehicles fail. We're seeing an increase in Macomb County IT, you know, coming out and you know, fixing those modems and those computers with old stuff on the shelf that is end of life and no longer supported through the manufacturer, let alone like the IT company. We're just lucky that, you know, with all of the assets and equipment that's on the shelf at Macomb County, from patrol cars and all of that stuff, that there was some old stuff that they could put back into our truck, for lack of a better word. So we did do a lot of research, and we reached out to Macomb County IT. The weird thing here is, you know, we buy this equipment and we put it into our assets in our trucks, but from the dispatch agreement, it's supported, sustained, maintained, and licensed through Macomb County IT and provided through Macomb County IT. So it's kind of different for us, right? We're buying this stuff, but they kind of manage it. They tell us, you know, and recommend what to put in. and then they manage it until end of life. I can tell you that I did receive the quotes and the proposals from Macomb County's vendor. There's no markup. They're pushing that cost right straight across to us. And I'm before you looking for permission to move forward with this request to purchase for the mobile dispatch computers in our 3 frontline engines and our 4 advanced life support ambulances. And then I wanted to put some docking hardware and a modem into our backup reserve engine to make that more turnkey. If one of our frontline engines come out, we can just unsnap that MDC or that GTAC computer and snap it right into the reserve engine, and then we'll be off and running.
Chief, when this other one arrives in about 100 years from now, the one that we just approved, is there an extra modem or extra equipment that can be placed in there that's already included in this price?
Not included in the price, but the advantage is we went to a more robust modem. It's over my head, right? Don't get me going on IT stuff, but it matches the modems in all of our Macomb County Sheriff patrol cars. So there's a much bigger inventory if something does happen that is like kind sitting on the shelves and it's new. So, my experience with computers and IT and technology like that is if it's 4 or 5 years old, it's a ancient relic, it seems. It's hard to understand why that is, but they have convinced us and they've let us know that this is a good move forward. It should sustain us for 5 more years. We'll probably at some point look to do another hardware refresh, just in budgeting, strategic capital asset planning at the 5-year mark. But this will get us up and running.
So Chief, it says that you have some of these, the refresh is lasts for 5 years, they're proposing. And then other items say 3 years, other parts. So the RFID land smart card, 3 years. So, are all of these going to hopefully last 5 years, or some going to be 3, or we don't know?
Well, the only thing I can go by is the recommendation from the Macomb County IT experts, right? And our past practice with the equipment that's,
Right.
I don't want to say, it's been used, right? It bounces down our roads and our highways every day. And it's exceeded my expectations with how long it's lasted. But, other than the internal licensing and all of that stuff in the computer, it's really over my head, and I just look for the experts to guide us.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see us coming back to this board in the next 2 to 3 years replacing anything.
Well, if I'm reading your notes correctly, this was originally budgeted for a 2022 budget year replacement?
Yeah.
You managed to extend until now?
Yes.
Okay,
That's pretty
Yes.
good. Keep doing that.
Well, it's a fine line between waiting too long and then,
Would this be 50-50 between the 2 budgets or strictly one?
It's already.
Is it 50-50? That's a great question.
Sorry to say it.
Is it 50/50?
Yeah.
It is, okay. I make a motion to approve the request to purchase mobile dispatch computers MDC, including docking mounts, antennas, modem software, and Wi-Fi GPS equipment in the amount of $63,046.72.
Support.
Okay, motion by Brown, supported by Stevenson. Any questions? Otherwise, roll call.
Brown, yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Previti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Okay. Next is an approval to request a purchase of 4 Motorola radios and accessories in the amount of $29,484.40. Again, this was vetted through the fire subcommittee.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're getting a little bit easier as we come through the agenda items, at least the ones I have. The deputy chief will be up after me.
He's got the big
maybe
one.
put that one first. But they all are very important.
Be like Fred
too.
Sanford tonight.
Well, I gotta tell you, the note about how many radios is at the very, very, very end. So when I first looked at this, I'm like, are you kidding me? Because it looked like there was 4 radios for $29,000, but now I see that there's a total of 46, the number in there.
Is that your
Okay.
Make sure it hits the right journal entry, too.
Yeah, it looked a little scary at first.
Make sure it's not the wrong deficit efficiency plan.
I got it.
Come
Yeah.
on, let's be nice.
Writing it down.
So it's actually 46
No.
is the number?
No, you are, your first gasp was correct. I'm before you for four.
4 units for 29,000.
4 mobile radio units.
$7,000 a radio.
Yeah. I wanted to give you some history behind how we are transitioning away from older end-of-life Motorola products over the last several years. It's very difficult for me to stand up in front of this board and just ask for stuff, especially a brand-new board that, you know, doesn't know the history or where we've come from or why the heck are we here today. So we, you know, as you can tell, and for the public, we've had several portable radios, those green radios that our firefighter paramedics carry. We refreshed those, and that's probably the 46 number, right? And that was through a very helpful grant with Macomb County in the state of Michigan. And then more recently, we updated our big radios in our stations. That was a budgeted item. And now I'm before you with starting to transition, and this is one of our 2025 administrative goals, is to start to transition into this new mobile radios in our vehicles. Because unfortunately, they are end of life, not supported anymore, which in the past wasn't a big deal because a lot of times Motorola had them on a shelf and we could just go buy one. Today, it's a 12-week lead time for the radio, which is tolerable, right? But here's the really difficult thing for us. It takes the state of Michigan 9 or 10 months to program them and template them. So we have to kind of swag or, you know, try to make sure that our communications has redundancy and we're prepared for failures because we are no good without emergency services communications. So this is for 4 radios. 2 of these are going to be earmarked for the new ambulance that's coming in. The other one is going to be earmarked for hopefully the ladder truck that is forthcoming anywhere from, if approved, 2 to 4 years from now. And then we have two on inventory on the shelf. But we're going to continue, and we don't, you know, it's problematic if we come before you and ask for 46 radios all at once financially. But if they start to fail and end of life, then we're in this cycle where we're before the board and asking our taxpayers to fund large purchases. So our rationale is to buy smaller chunks of these radios at a time and try to spread them out over 5 years.
So this is 4 new ones. We have 46 total right now in service.
That are portable, that,
Yeah.
that are on the waist and the shoulder of our firefighters.
But they're not the same level as this one?
No, totally different.
Because this is like having a whole computer. This is like having what's in your truck on your body at the time, right?
Yes, this is
Right.
the one that's hard mounted in the dash of the vehicles.
Yeah.
Has a microphone. If I remember correctly, I don't know if I spelled this out, I think we have 21 mobile radios maybe, something like that. Some of those have been replenished when, like our last ambulance fleets, I believe we have a couple newer radios in there. So we're starting to, with new vehicles, get those under control. But over the next several years, we will need probably 15 mobile radios to start to update.
I make a motion that we approve motion to approve the request to purchase 4 Motorola radios and accessories, cable, microphone, and speakers, as described in the quote for 20, do I have to say the quote? Oh, pardon me, thanks, thank you very much. Pardon me. $29,484.40.
Support.
Thank you.
Again, if you could add to the motion, it's 50-50 between the fire and the ambulance.
And you like it split between the two?
Yeah, if you can add it to the motion in the
Yes,
minutes.
and it's split 50-50 between the
I think you're
fire,
perfectly comfortable.
between the
with that.
fire
For
and
larger amounts of
ambulance
money.
funds.
You've gotten good at it.
Correct.
I like to pace ourselves, but today we're.
Okay, we have a
overwhelming your
motion by Brown,
agenda.
supported by Stevenson. Roll call.
Brown, yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Praviti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
And Mylum.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank
The
you,
next
Chief.
one will be just fire department.
Yeah, if you want to. I hope you did.
That was,
Next is 11.7. It's approve the request to enter an agreement for the Halt Fire Pierce Manufacturing for the future purchase of a new ladder truck in the amount of $2.3 million. This also has been brought to the fire subcommittee for several months now.
Yeah. Yeah, several times. Thank you guys for letting me up here. Since the chief got all his approved, I would just ask for approval for this. But no, we've gotten, the last couple of days, we've gotten some better agreements with them. I'm going to pass out to each one of you some proposals for that. What we're looking to is to get into a bidding process where every 4 months we'd go in front of a board where they'd come out with different fire trucks. So what we're looking for is a 100-foot ladder truck, which is mid-mount ladder truck, to replace our 24-year-old one that we have right now. So every 4 months, they come through with a bunch of different programs, with a bunch of different vehicles. And if one of those happens, the chassis happens to meet what we need, we can at that time purchase the vehicle at that time. The idea of this is what it's going to do is cut down the time from 3 years to 12 to 18 months. So in my mind, that means it comes in with 24 to 28 months. So hopefully this speeds up the process as opposed to waiting for us to get a particular build exactly the way we want it perfect. We just want to make sure it's red, it has enough tires, ladder goes up 100 feet. It's good enough for that. As I said before, this is way before your time, most of you, besides maybe Sam and Mike's, but you had a Cadillac up here, you got the pickup truck now. So I'll get you to the church on time, but it won't be as pretty as what he does. So what we came up with is we have either a pre-build or a one-time purchase. The pre-build price would be $2,191,000 and $7. Don't ask me why they had to throw another 7 in there. If we do that, or we can wait, and we'll save $76,898 if we wait. If we don't wait, and then the total would be at whenever it finally comes and we go out there, we purchase it, we look at it, we check it all out, we make sure that all the dings and dents are not on there, make sure it's perfect for us. Then we'd owe $2,114,114 on top of that. So I'll give out each one of these to you guys.
No.
It's okay.
Is this a used?
Sam, you said the fire committee reviewed and approved this also?
Why would it have dents?
If that helps.
Okay.
It's used? This is a used one?
No,
This is another, well,
was gonna say.
I thought he said he wanted to make sure all the dents
I
are.
want to meet these fire committee people one day.
Let's me and Mike.
I know.
It's interesting.
Fair enough.
It's really interesting.
So again, this isn't an agreement with this company at this time. We would have to get a PO, so we'd have an agreement that way, but we'd end up not having to actually go through and make all the specifications and get it exactly the way we want it. It would come in, we'd go through it, make sure it has everything that we want, and if it's recommended, then we'd purchase the vehicle at that price. But it only comes in every quarterly. And the idea is every quarter, they do 2 extra vehicles that come through that have no body attached to them. It's up to you to decide if that's going to be good enough. Only way we get an opportunity to do that is if we're in agreement with the salesperson who, at this time, it's whoever has the highest seniority, which we have, that guy is our salesperson, gets to pick and choose who he wants to be able to get this type of purchase. And there will not be any dents or dings. I'm sorry if I put that out there. I'm sorry.
Can you explain, sir, that the other one is getting past its due date and compliance-wise?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, NFPA, I think I wrote that down in your proposal. With NFPA, every 10 years you're supposed to replace a vehicle. Now, this is a standard. It is not a law. NFPA is a standard that we have to use in the fire service. It's the National Fire Protection Agency. And every 25 years it should be replaced. We're at 24 years right now. No matter what we do, we'll be at 25 years. We'll be at that max. Also, our ISO rating, which is what all of our insurance is on, is based on how we have a ladder truck. What we'd like to do with this is once we do get the new one, if we ever do, we would like to keep the old one, use it as a training center over at our new facility, but that's 2 years down the road. So we're not looking at getting that and moving it over there at this time.
You said delivery is about a year and a half. That's after
Correct.
you already commit.
Right.
So if a quarterly thing and the quarter doesn't, we get something in September,
Yeah.
it's a year and a half from that.
Yeah, we
September, not a year
get
and a
the,
half.
if we end up recommending this and we go for one of these two packages and Supervisor Beatty signs it, we can get into the April date. So that'd be our first one, and then we'd wait 4 months again for another one to come along.
You know how many other companies are in the same bidding, or municipalities?
You know, it's a salesperson, I don't want to, I will talk about salespersons, and I hope none of you guys are, and if you are, I'm sorry. But a salesperson is going to tell you whatever they want. Right now, they said there's 2 other ones that are looking for it at the same time. Is that true? I couldn't tell you if that's true or not. I'm not going to call up each of the fire departments to find out if they're actually looking for the exact same one. But in this case, it's a 100-foot ladder truck, which is exactly what we have. It's mid-mount, exactly what we're looking for. So it would save us a lot of time if we don't have to go back to the board and go through the whole process of figuring out, are we going to have light switches, where the light switches are going to be, all this other stuff that sometimes takes up a lot of time and a lot of money that really don't need to be doing whenever we're looking for something that gets used, twice a year. And hopefully that's the most of it.
So you want permission then to go out and buy this unit based on a standard that it's going to meet? We may not know exactly what color every piece of it's going to be.
It's going to be red.
But it meets the minimum standards that we're looking for.
Yeah, it will. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're not going to get yellow again?
No more yellows. My favorite yellow one's
That was
gone
your
already.
favorite one.
That was my favorite one, I know.
I make a
sad.
motion to approve with a question or two to our supervisor. Supervisor Privity, are you comfortable with this? You know the money backwards and forward.
Well, yes, so I will be discussing this later, but
Great point.
we'd like to use this, basically, again, to put our spot in the line to
Right.
get this truck. That's
Sure.
the main thing. We do want to secure a bond, though, because of our great
Credit rating.
credit rating, we can ensure very low interest. So it would be wise to do that instead of using our fund balance, basically. So that should come to the board later this year, but.
You answered it exactly the way I thought you would. So I
mean,
make
if
a
we have
motion
to,
to
we have the
support
If we have to, we had to.
with the hopes that we can get that bond
Yeah.
and
Which-
get this moving forward.
Thank you.
Was there a second?
Support?
Supported by Stevenson.
What was,
Which is,
Motion-
there's 2 prices here. I'm seeing
Yeah, I was saying, what was the
2.3 and I'm
motion on
seeing
exactly?
2.191. Which one is it?
Is a motion to,
That's exactly what I wanted. Well, one, we have to prepay in order to get the 2191007.
Right.
And if we don't prepay, then we have to pay 2.1141140.
Oh, I see. Okay.
so the motion's correct?
Well, I was making the motion to sign the contract award of 2.3 with a balance of 2.3 bond lease to own, one-time payment from fire
That's not.
fund balance?
You want this now?
I can't,
This one.
nothing.
No?
Can I make a suggestion if you don't mind? You can bump that up to 2.2 if you want to, but if you go to 2.3, I'll have firefighters and they will have bells on there and goggles and everything else, so please don't make it too much more than what it is right there.
Can I ask a question?
I'm confused.
Yes.
Rob and I have talked about this at least twice. And you can see that what was passed out is clearly not a contract. Fair?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is, I'm not sure what this is, but whatever it
Well, it
is.
looks like a quote.
It's going to cost you $2 million, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're talking about authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract for $2 million. We haven't seen that contract yet.
Well, we should amend the motion that you look it over.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is and Rob and I have gone round and round on this issue. And before you commit to pay $2.1 million, you need to see the physical apparatus that you're going to purchase. And 2, you have to have a contract in place.
It's not made. The fire truck needs to be built. How do we?
No, I get that part. But this is not a contract yet.
No.
So I just want to make sure that you understand that at some point in the future, if and when this comes in, then we will look at a contract and then you will sign it. But I'm not sure what it is you're signing now.
In my
They
mind's
want
eye,
our
we were,
money to hold our spot in line,
right, like a lottery ticket. We're just giving the
right?
This is what I'm asking you. If you signed this document, first of all, there's no place to sign on here, but if you did, what is it you have to do?
We have to make a purchase agreement, correct?
How much, when do you have to pay them the money?
Not until it's built.
Okay, then what is this for?
Basically to hold our spot in line.
It's not, this isn't what that says.
That's how they.
I mean, read it. It talks about you're going to buy a truck for $2 million with certain specifications, and it'll come in and.
If we don't commit that we're going to buy, they won't make it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that whatever you're signing, you're not committing to do anything other than get in line with no money down. Fair?
Well, we need you, obviously, we need you.
Well, this isn't a long read. And if you look at this document that you just got, if Sam signed somewhere on here, they put in a line for Sam. You would think if you looked at the top that we're obligated to put up some cash.
Making it look like it.
But clearly we're not. I just need to make sure that we are committing no money. Fair?
Can we get that handled, Rob, by basing that dollar amount based upon a purchase agreement?
Yeah, I've worked with this company. We've worked with this company before. We've had 3 other engines by this company. This would be our 4th one coming in.
Just so that what Bob is
I've-
saying, I want to protect our money.
Yeah, trust me, we've been on the phone nonstop for about a week, since Friday, I shouldn't say, since Monday.
Are you comfortable with the motion being based upon a purchase agreement?
At this point, I'd like to see Attorney Siebert draft a different document, one that protects us to be able to enter into some form of a preliminary lottery system or whatever. I mean, to sign a blank PO like this,
That's what I'm getting. I mean, they could easily put together a sheet of paper that says, look, Washington Township wants to get in line. When it comes in, we're committed to spend $2.1 million. We have the cash, we're ready to go. I just want to make sure you don't sign a document and get a call someday and say, by the way, you owe us $2 million and it's not going to come in for another.
And also, it's a lottery, so there could be 5 other departments who are willing to put this up. So are we getting into, if one truck comes in and there's 5 departments bidding for it, the price is going to be higher than 2.1 because it'll be a bidding war, correct? It's going to go over that.
No, they just pull one of the names.
No.
They just pull, everyone's putting in the same amount.
No, it'd go by seniority of the salesperson that's doing that. That's how it goes. It doesn't go by.
Seniority of the salesperson?
Correct.
yeah,
When they present this piece of equipment, what type of time frame will you guys have to make a decision?
Well, we'd have to get into going back and now ordering a piece of equipment, which is fine. If that's what you guys want to do, as opposed to doing this, that's up to you guys. That's totally up to you. As I said, I worked with Bob. We tried to go back and forth. We couldn't get the salesperson to give us anything better than what we got right now.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is if they say we have a piece of equipment available, do you want it? What type of time frame do you guys have from the time they make that offer to make that decision?
Probably none, because there is none being built to do that. They're already being taken before they even get to that point.
So if they make the offer, you guys have to either accept it immediately or it goes to somebody else?
It will, yes.
Okay.
I just need approval that once it's there, that I review it with Bob before I sign anything. That's all I need.
That would be fine. If
That's all I need.
the deal is,
Yeah.
we're going to get in line, we're going to get on the list, when it comes due,
I'll show you
at
the
that
paper.
point, get us a contract, we'll sign it, and we're obligated to buy it. That would be great.
can I amend my motion then?
Can I ask one more question? So what if we don't get a truck for a year?
We're not.
I mean, or 2, pardon me, 2, longer
4
than
years.
that,
It'll
2
be about
years.
4
We'll be
years.
lucky
So-
to get it in 3.
Right, so how do we budget for it if we're budgeting 3
Well, we're
years down?
just going to have to budget more
project
money
that.
towards keeping the one that we have on the road now going until that point. Correct.
So we have to budget it out further. We can't just,
Yes.
but we
'Cause
don't know what the time frame is.
That's why I want to get up.
Well, we don't.
I agree. Okay.
Well, I would like to amend my motion to allow Supervisor Previti to engage with our legal staff as well as the fire department to figure out the best way forward on this item. We know this is something we want to go, but we need some legalities written down to protect the township from the mystery of this greatest salesman in the world granting us his lottery number.
Understand.
I don't know how to write that down.
That's too long.
Well, I don't know that we need a motion for that.
Well,
Do we?
You shorten that up.
I mean,
Make a
that's,
motion for the supervisor to engage with legal and the fire department in regards to finding a place for this.
Chief, you have anything you'd like to say?
Just to make a note, that it looks like this is just, they want you to place an order?
Right, correct.
That's
all
it?
we're doing.
And they're saying that they'll have it to you within 10 to 13 months unless there's some act of God that interferes?
Correct.
The thing is, if we're chosen, then I need to have the check ready, basically. That's what I need the permission, right?
That's only if we're prepaying beforehand.
Right, Charles, they could whip it out from under us. If we don't give them more of a commitment, they could say, hey, Shelby wants it, you're out.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's how it works, no.
So how does this, and I might be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but when you said the best salesman or top salesman gets to allocate it,
Right.
that's what made me nervous right
Yeah.
there. It didn't
Okay.
seem like we were,
Well, no, it's seniority-based salesperson. So the seniority-based guy gets to pick who he wants to get this vehicle. Hey, I'm just going by what they're telling us. So,
so,
Wow.
I'm also, getting caught up. And I want to thank the deputy chief and our.
he's doing a great job.
And our
It's not
apparatus committee, they've done so much due diligence, and we've been talking about this for years. We've known that this 2001 E1 100-foot aerial platform is approaching that 25-year mark, right? And a prudent fire service leader plans for that, but we can sustain that a little bit as long as it passes inspection and certification, but we're not comfortable operating like that. So this is how I understand this program, which, again, is new to us that have been around for a while. In the old days, we would place an order, we put money down. It was an 18-month build time, balance due upon delivery, right? Our spec, our custom design truck. What the deputy chief and our apparatus committee are trying to do is get in line for Pierce Manufacturing, who is also building custom trucks, but every quarter is probably throwing 3 or 4 or 5 in the assembly line, slightly different. And we're just trying to get in a position to be able to pluck one of those to shorten that lead time. Now, if I understand it right, when we're talking about senior salespeople, we're talking about senior salespeople across the country with Pierce, not just Michigan. And our guy, Mr. Choate, is the senior guy. That doesn't mean, I don't think, that he will choose Washington Township. But we're also competing with fire departments across the country for this product. So I'll leave you at that. I think there is some more work to do. I can see everyone's uneasy. We need some questions answered. I respect and appreciate your conversation. We're just before you trying to, get in a position to get a very expensive taxpayer asset in our building.
I don't think there's any difficulties over what you're asking for. It's just how we manage the mechanics of making the sale, protecting the township while we do it.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
So it's not about the equipment, it's about the details of the purchase agreement. So we've got to figure that out.
But I wonder if they would
Well,
let
based
us.
on this, I'm understanding that's what they want, is a purchase agreement. Can't we put up one together on our own terms, or?
Well, so what we're looking for then, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, is giving the supervisor then permission to execute a purchase agreement in a
Right.
specific amount at a future date.
That's what we're looking for. This is not a document to
That's
sign.
what we really need
This is
to
just
do.
spelling out what they want from us. They want an order, and this is what the amount is.
So we should make
So
a purchase.
is that, excuse me, is that that amount of 2.191, is that adjusted for inflation? Is that quote going to hold for 3 years? Or is it going to be higher? It's going to be higher.
Well, they're saying 10 to 30.
After April 1st, every April 1st it goes up, so that's why we got to kind of lock it.
Placeholder like the cloud, same
Yeah,
thing.
like the
Okay,
cloud.
Like the cloud.
I'm reading 10 to
Got it.
13 months for delivery.
That's if we can identify a product coming off the line that has a chassis and a lot of the pump, the axles, the tires, the mid-mount, everything's kind of there on a chassis, right? Envision that. The remaining build is probably throwing on the skins, the cabinets, the doors, the paint color, but it's coming off the line with a cabinet, a chassis, and a ladder sitting there, I believe, right, Rob? Or no? It's partially constructed. That's why when we
They still
say
got to pay for the stickers.
this design spec will work for us, it continues down the line with our name on it.
Okay, so then,
So the 2,191,000, is that specific build that you are asking for?
It's a model with a specific pump, wheelbase, engine, diesel engine, and cab configuration.
Okay, so that's just the basic, and then it's going to be more cost to finish it?
No. No, what you see is the total amount for that truck. Is the whole specification already done? We're just catching it before it's completed to try and get an opportunity to pluck that from the rest of the country. So the deputy chief's right, it's already designed. I'm sure he could provide a spec with drawings and everything. We're just seeing it, our salesman apparently is seeing it as it's moving down that assembly line, for lack of a better word.
So then, let me see if it'll pan out right. So if we make a motion to allow the supervisor to execute a purchase agreement at a future date, not to exceed $2,200,000 based on the recommendation of the fire chief for the purchase of a 100-foot mid-mount platform dealer allocated unit, that would cover what we need.
For legal review.
Would that do it?
Is that okay, Bob?
You comfortable with it?
So am I thinking about, is this like if I go to a car dealership and I want a particular car and it's not in their inventory, but they've got one, they check the factory and see that there's one being built that's very similar to that, but it's
Yeah.
not assigned to anybody yet? Is
Correct.
that kind of what we're doing?
That's how I understand it.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, the problem is,
okay.
Is
I
this
think-
motion okay?
Well, I believe there was a motion on the floor, unless you want to draw it.
He said,
Up to
Michelle
2.2 million.
said what he said.
Whatever,
well, they were different.
I made the motion to allow Supervisor Previti to engage with the fire department along with our legal counsel to sign a purchase agreement not to exceed $2.2 million for a fire truck. How about that? Is that simple enough?
Can we add language in there, once we know one's available, the board can be notified?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And once we win the lottery. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd
Thank you,
like
Mike.
the attorney's opinion, if this is okay.
Well,
Before we
he's
vote
going
on
to
it?
engage legal. It says to engage legal, so.
Per legal review, so.
Yeah, Dennis, I really think that the vendor could put in this one page, could reword it simply to say what they mean. If you read a document and you think you understand what it says, it's not a good document. A good document is one that when you read it, you thoroughly understand it. And I think the board and the chief and the assistant chief are all on the same page. You want to get in line. When one comes along, you want to grab it and you want to buy it. But I challenge anybody to read this and say that that's what this says. And I think we could easily, I could put one together and we could send it to them that says what I think we mean, and I can do it in a day or two and see if they'll sign off on it. And it'll just say, look, get us in line. When it comes in, this is what we're looking for, and we're willing to spend up to this amount. And I think you're home, aren't you?
I think that works under the
So your
under the motion.
I'll support your
It
motion.
doesn't even ask me.
For
Thank
legal
you.
review, right.
Yes.
Right.
I don't want to put a monkey in the wrench here, but
Sure you do.
I know I do. I would feel comfortable once Attorney Siebert drafts this and the board takes a look at the document before it's signed, if it's not going to delay what the fire department wants to do.
It's 2 weeks.
Our next board meeting is 2 weeks. We should be able to. You going to throw any of your plans off?
no,
We
I,
want to review it in 2 weeks?
absolutely not. I want you to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable. This is $2.2 million of taxpayer
It is. It's a lot of money.
dollars, right? And this is an asset that, this fire department's going to utilize for 25 years. I'm uncomfortable standing before you with this. There are some more answers. I applaud the deputy chief and all the time they put in, but I think our vendor, our dealer here could clean this up a bit, right?
Yeah, again, it clearly states that basically that what they're looking for is a purchase order to be placed by us through them, and then once they accept it, it'll be for this $2.19 million. So we need to put together a purchase order, and that probably should be done through the attorney.
So should we make a motion to table it until we have the legal document or
Anything
the
else?
draft from the attorney?
Why
Or
don't I
what
make
would
my
you say?
motion to say, Attorney Siebert to draft a purchase agreement, bring it back to the board, and we'll sign off on it. Do we like that?
I like that too.
Okay.
I second that motion. How's that? Well, did you already second?
Okay.
No, he said, he did.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, motion by Mylum, seconded
you.
by
We'll get through this one way or the
Stevenson.
other.
We got one of the best legal
Okay.
minds here. Why
That's
not
good.
you?
Okay.
All right.
Motion by Mylum, seconded by Stevenson to have legal counsel draft a purchase agreement and bring it to the March 19th meeting.
Got it.
All in, roll call.
Mylum.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Previti.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
I said, Nicely, sorry.
Okay, motion.
Oh, wait, this is just a review, so I just want to make sure that if it's not what we want, we just want to review it and then approve it at the 19th if we have to. So
Exactly.
can my answer be yes?
Yes, okay.
100% yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next is 11.8, approve and adopt zoning text amendments as they relate to the license. We've been having Kayla of Spalding and Decker go through our ordinances. These are related to our licensed tattoo and massage establishments, off-street parking requirements, and environmental provisions for wetlands as presented. I have Dana here, if any questions, and John, who's our PC rep as well. So if anybody's got questions on them, we're basically cleaning up all the ordinances, and we're doing a few at a time, not to shock the board.
I'd like to go ahead and just make a motion to accept it. Dana did explain that to us very clearly last time, so just no sense of repeating it again, so we know what's going to be taking place.
I support.
Do we have to do each one separate, you think, or it's fine, all three?
Yeah, no, you've got to, these are separate ordinances, so you've got to approve the text amendments.
We'll start.
Okay.
One separate.
Okay. Approve and adopt the zoning text amendments as they relate to the licensed tattoo and massage establishments.
Okay. Supported by?
Brown.
Okay. Motion by Nicely, supported by Brown. Roll call.
Nicely.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Previti.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
That was a tough one.
He's like, what?
Your motion passed.
Approve and adopt zoning ordinance, approve and adopt zoning text amendments as they relate to the off-street parking requirements.
Support?
Okay, motion by Nicely, supported by Stevenson. No questions, roll call.
Nicely.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Previti.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Brown. Yes.
Motion passed. Next,
Approve and adopt zoning text amendments as they relate to environmental provisions for wetlands as presented.
Support.
motion by Nicely, supported by Chaplin. If no questions, roll call.
Nicely.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Previti.
Yeah.
Sorry. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Brown. Yes.
Paul's in the house. Motion passed. So when do these take effect? Like, is it so many days after today, or?
Yeah, there's a notice of adoption that has to be published, and Chris probably already gave you those documents. If not, she will.
Right.
Usually they're in our packet when we send them out.
Yeah, there is a notice of adoption.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, when we
15
send the
days
packets
after.
out, we'll send them to Dana, and there'll be in there the text amendment, the notice of adoption, the whole package together. So all you got to do is.
Yeah, they already have them too, so,
Done.
So
And thank
sometime
you.
within the next 2 weeks, it'll
yes.
7 days
Official.
from the date
Very
of publication.
organized. Very organized.
Notice of adoption.
adoption.
Got you.
Next is approve the request from the Historical Society for reimbursement of the Semco gas bills at the total cost of $522.47. This is something long before I was here or anybody else. Annually, the township has paid the heating bill for the Historical Society. Normally, it's been a lot higher since they've got a new furnace. The bills have dropped dramatically from, traditionally they were in the 2,000 range, now they've been about $500 to $600. So this past year, it's been $522.47. I do want to recuse myself because I am the president of the Historical Society, and I don't want to be accused of any unethical behavior. So if the board will allow me to excuse from this vote, I don't know if I'm going to make a motion on that.
Yeah, you should make there should.
So I make a motion to remove myself from this vote Supported by Stevenson, since I am president of the Historical Society. I'll just do all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I'm off this one.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the request from the Historical Society for reimbursement of the Semco gas bills at a total cost of $522.47.
Support.
Okay,
It's not bad for a whole season.
No, that's great.
and support, okay. I won't call your name, okay. Nicely,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I did it wrong, sorry.
That's me.
Brown, yes. Stevenson?
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Chaplin?
Yes.
Reinhold?
Yes.
Mylum?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Nice.
Thank you, Mike. I make a motion to be supervisor
You're
again.
doing a heavy lifting. Thank you.
I didn't hear any support.
On behalf of the Historical Society, I thank you guys very much. I have to do a presentation.
You have the letter.
4 hours in, we're just getting to this.
Take
What
a
about
2-minute
this?
break.
The letter? The Historical Society letter is in our board packet?
Yeah, that explains the.
That's explaining it.
No.
If you look at the very last paragraph, that's the heating bill one, but
all about
they
the
did
gas.
But they
outline
want
a
to
lot
talk
more.
about all their events. Aren't we
We can-
supposed to mention it?
We can talk about that.
Jim was here last time.
You can read it.
I'll read it at open.
Put it on your
You read
supervisor
all that.
page.
You read it.
Yeah. Put it under correspondence.
There's a lot here.
We're going to now go back to Section 9, public hearing. I make a motion to go into public hearing to present the 2025 fiscal year, 2025-26, I should say, fiscal year township budget hearing. That's my motion.
Support.
Supported by Chaplin. Roll call?
Praviti?
Yes.
Chaplin?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Stevenson, I was waiting for you to walk, I was seeing you walking. Reinhold?
Yes.
Mylum?
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Right, I saw him leaving.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you. So, let's bring it up on my screen.
Welcome to budget time.
I'm so sick of this.
So, to the board, I know some of this will be repetitious, but officially I have to present it tonight, so you'll be seeing some duplicates. First of all, I want to thank the board, all the department heads for helping me put together the budget again this year. We've had 4 budget workshops open to the public and numerous internal meetings. Again, Washington Township, we follow our 6 core principles to preserve the rural character of our community with responsible development. We operate in an equitable manner. We manage in a fiscally responsible manner, provide friendly, respectful service, promote a favorable business environment, and demonstrate the highest ethical standards. Tonight's agenda will include a year in review with the accomplishments in financial, emergency service, infrastructure, customer service, other talent. Again, we'll have some major influencing factors, goals for the upcoming year, and the budget overview. Some financial accomplishments. Got a typo there. Okay. So our goal was to ensure high debt rating. We continue to receive our AA+ bond rating. Our goal was to reevaluate water and sewer rates annually to make sure we're getting county and GLWA increases. To ensure we're not. This has been accomplished for several years. There's been no rate increase versus the GLWA suggested increases in water for the last several years. Again, solid audit results. We continue to have excellent results achieved with Plant Moran, who's been our auditor for the last 25 plus years. Our financial accomplishments as of March 31st, 2024, from Plant Moran, you'll see our general fund balance at 8.3 million, our fire fund balance at 7.7 million, our ambulance fund at 4.7 million, police fund at 4.8 million, capital improvement fund at 1.4, non-major funds at 102,000. The total government fund balance is at $27.2 million. Our water and sewer and building department are considered enterprise funds. They are not general fund. Our water and sewer fund balance is 85.2 million. Our building department fund balance is 4.6 million, with the total enterprise fund balance of $89.9 million. We continue to focus on infrastructure and service over bureaucracy. We've increased our net position since 2009 despite taxable value remaining below 2009 levels, along with our AA+ bond rating. Washington compares favorably to neighbors in net position as a percent of expense for government activities. We continue our aggressive cost management. Staffing levels are responsive to the economics here. We're responsible cost structure per employee. Again, Washington Township operates with a low operating millage rate. If you'll look, there's only a few communities that operate more cheaply than Washington, and largely they consist of townships with part-time fire department or private EMS and low or no police presence. So you can find this on this website. Washington, again, has one of the lowest millage rates in the county. We're keeping high property values in Washington Township. Washington is the highest property value in Macomb County, other than a little section. There's 45 homes in Grosse Pointe that are in the Macomb side that surpass us. Otherwise, we're the highest, keeping the highest property value in Washington. Positive progress on water rates. Several years ago, to set out to mitigate the high water rates caused by the formula that applies to all GLWA customers that is favorable to us. Washington has three distinct reasons for the past high water rates: was the distance from the facilities, the elevation, and peak usage. Our storage facility that was built several years ago has allowed us to flatten the rates, roughly 12% differential, and growing each time as we do pass a rate increase through. We will always be high due to the other two factors, but low density lifestyle choice, but this at least mitigates those impacts. This is kind of a usage of, I like to show this slide, of the water usage in our township. As you'll see, the big green space, a lot of people love to sprinkle and water their grass in the summertime. So that's very high use of water. Residents who are on water and sewer, you can look into doing a separate meter for that, which would help if you plan to live in your house for several years. Some people choose to do that. That does help your water bill there. Fire and ambulance over the last 5 years. 2021, we had a new ambulance remount. New fire station number 3 on Mound opened up. 2022, we secured 10 acres on 31 Mile for a future fire station 4 on 31 Mile with 5 acres and the other 5 acres for a future park. We've also, that year we ordered a long lead fire truck, which you'll see come down the line here. 2023 projects, the fire union contract was complete. This was huge. It helped secure and retain and attract staff. Fire station number 2 had a refurbish complete. We signed a new 10-year lease agreement with Stryker for equipment. Again, this was huge because it locks in 10 years of the same price with new equipment each year. 2024 projects, our new fire truck finally arrived after 2 years, and the ambulance. Staffing remains the same for the upcoming year. For this upcoming year, we're looking at the new fire ladder truck that we just talked, and the ambulance, which could take up to 2 to 3 years. Staffing remains the same for the upcoming year. Again, we'll be looking into doing phase 1 and phase 2 of our new fire station at 30 in Powell, along with the new training center that we're currently putting in for grant funding through Senator Peters and Congresswoman McLean's office. This would not only help our ISO standards, but help surrounding communities in the area, as well as generate income as a training center in the northern Macomb County. Police, we continue to operate below the voters' approved 2-point mills at 1.6 mills. In 2021, we renewed our 3-year contract with them. In 2022, we added a traffic enforcement and motor carrier officer. This was very huge. It was the first increase in police in over 12 years. The motor carrier officer, for those of you not familiar, this helps handle all the gravel haulers and construction equipment. These tickets do generate a lot of income that to help justify the cost, but more importantly, they keep our roads safe. They make sure the trucks are in compliance and weight, along with other safety features like covering the gravel on top, mud flaps, lights. It's also been beneficial. They've actually pulled over some trucks with drivers wanted in other states. So you think you're doing one thing and you actually have helped prevent future problems there. 2023, we added an afternoon traffic enforcement officer. Both the daytime and afternoon traffic enforcement officer have been a big improvement to help with traffic in our community, especially at the two elementary schools, Washington and Indian Hills, where we're working with the schools to try to address the banking of cars in there. In 2024, upon this board taking office late in 2024, we added a command officer and we renewed the 3-year contract. This command officer has been proven to be invaluable. It's creating a dedicated sergeant to our area. Not only is he patrolling our township, but he's helping us with other traffic needs, keeping all the deputies basically in line, more of a local presence instead of going down to Mount Clemens. The board did approve, but it will be built this year. Giffords has designed we're calling it a way station. It's over there at Campground in Van Dyke. This will help the motor carrier to pull off trucks safely off the road, allow traffic to keep moving. It'll make the process a lot quicker, safer for the driver and the police officer and for those around. Upcoming 2026, looking to convert the 30-mile fire station to be a police substation. This will help centralize the police to that area. I currently got the building department actually making an office there now to actually start the move sooner than later. It's more strategic to have the police right there at 30-mile due to the highest intersection casualties is at 30 and M53 and 30 in Van Dyke. And it's more centralized in the township and allows the police to go up and down the road better. Plus it frees up Fire Station 1 more with, it's hard to believe they've already grown it already. It also gives residents a place to go at Fire Station 2 currently. That's on 30 mile behind Westview there. And if you want to file police reports and other things there. Commercial development, again, I have it grouped in the village district. It's not really in the village district. A ZF expansion, this was very huge for the township. When I took office in 2020, they were planning to leave the township. We worked with them for 2 years. We had numerous meetings with them. Not only did we get them to come back to their location there, but they're joining the 2 buildings there into 1 building. They're investing over $80 million for 100,000 square feet, adding another couple hundred high-paying jobs and scientists, engineers, and test lab personnel. They do safety-type equipment such as airbags and seatbelts. That's looking to be completed early this spring. That's a very huge project, and they've signed a 50-year lease, so it's been very beneficial for the township to retain that buildings there. Pizza Nostalgia is looking into expanding our parking lot across the street. Hampton House, which is AKA known as Washington Place, that they're gutting the inside right now. They're planning to do a reface on the outside. They're turning that more into a strip mall there, so looking for that to revitalize. That's a very important corner. They're also going to be redoing the parking lot there, making it safer with working with the Department of Roads there. Embassy Development, this is a medical building up the road. It's a 23,000 square foot medical building that's looking to be this year. Newberry South Commercial Front, that's right there behind right there just north of 26 off of Van Dyke. They're clearing the land right now, and that looks to be built later this year. Washington 27 multi-tenant, this is actually Phil Ruggieri, who was here earlier. This is going to be another strip mall with a drive-through feature of a coffee shop to be determined later. So that looks, it's currently in engineering. That's just south of the cement factory there. The northern part of the township, Leo's Coney Island Strip Mall, that's what I call it. That's looking to break ground there. Romeo Square Commercial Condos, that's looking to come forward. That's more north at 31 and Mount Van Dyke. We also, that's more in development. Sorry, then in the building stage, I should say, we have the new VNR, which is the Art and Jake's retail center. That's just south of the original Art and Jake's there. It's 3 buildings with a drive-through in there, as well as the Washington Romeo Medical Building, which is across the street from Westview. This is a huge, it's a 40,000 square foot medical building for Henry Ford. This is a great addition to our township. Upcoming development, Again, I've repeated this several times to the board already. These are a list of all the developmental subdivisions looking to develop. They're either in engineering or in process to be approved. The building stage, as you see, they're starting to tighten up. You'll see like Bradbury has 3 units, Greystone has 2 units. Orchard Brook is the big one in here with 66 units. It seems like a lot, but this is a multi-housing one off of 26 and Hayes that there are 4 units per development, so that's why the number looks a lot larger. Seven Lakes has Overlook Drive, there's about 9 units. White Oaks has about 6 units. The Meadowlands Estates, 4 units. Cantor Farms, which was near Hawks Acres there, it's about 50 units. Powell Ridge and Viridian Phase. It looks like we're going to hit 98 units before 331.
Are any of those PUDs?
I didn't specify which
No,
ones
I-
were.
I-
Yeah, no,
Because I learned that.
No, it's fine. No, it's a good question.
Are any of those PUDs?
Clifton
Yeah.
Corners is a PUD.
Altair, which was here tonight,
Altair is a
they're PUD. Emerald Creek is a PUD.
Okay, I was just
There's
curious.
a lot of PUDs.
Oh, there are, okay.
Powell Ridge is a PUD.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Accomplishments, staff. Since being supervisor, annually we've included BSNA training each year, the last 3 years. We have them coming out again this summer. They come by each department. They spend a day or two with each staff. There's always new upgrades, new ways to do things on BSNA as we look forward to going to the cloud eventually. Again, we continue to recruit. All unions have a 5-year agreement. We continue to attract top personnel. Again, I'm very proud. Last year we accomplished a 5-year agreement, so we have 5 years now 4 years to work with our contractor. Legal counsel, we continue to do Siebert and Delosky as far as I know. Bad joke with Steve. We've used Stephen Schwartz to handle our HR issues. Greg Mean has worked in the past with Parks and Rec, with our mines in the past, but Parks and Rec has its own legal counsel now. The sewer plant, we've secured Highland, which is a contractor. We've updated the contract for 2 years. They handle the sewer plant for us. We've approved the covers for the sewer plant. We're awaiting delivery on that. As that area grows, we'll have to possibly we have the area there to expand the sewer plant as we review with Giffords Webster on that. Retirements, there is a possibility this year. I'm not letting them retire, but our DPW director and assessor have hinted they may want to retire this year. So we're going to try to hold on to them a little longer. Committee appointments, all committees and appointments have been made so far. We continue to retain great talent and knowledge in all committees. Other accomplishments this year, this was actually the end of last year. The purchase of Hawks Acres, we bought over 27 acres there on Mound as a conservatory area. We continue to improve Township Hall. The last 3 years, we've improved everything from the roof, the parking lot. We've added infrastructure in the back for Parks and Rec to add on as other amenities as bathrooms and electricity. We've added siding, gutters, the roof. We've done a waterproofing around the basement because water was getting in the basement. This basement's not that old, but has a lot of issues with it, so we continue. Most recently today, we've had the heating and cooling. We got the humidifiers. Hopefully tomorrow, those will be starting to work. We've all been getting bloody noses here at work. Humidity's too dry. Over the last 3 years, I'm proud we've added over 12,000 feet of sidewalk in our sidewalk gap program. Most of this is to the schools, the Macomb Orchard trails, and local businesses on Van Dyke. We've paved more roads in the last 3 years than in the last 25 years, including West Road, Mound Road, Campground, 30 Mile Road. We've also done preventative preservation work with the county on work on 26, 27, and 29 Mile Road. Those were at no cost as well. We've installed over 18 new fire hydrants that were refurbished. We've installed over near 28,000 feet of water lines. This is, it removes the threat of any annexation that was talked for over a decade. but also brings more water safety to residents around the township. The closer we bring the water lines, the easier it is for our firefighters to fight fires. About a year and a half ago, we negotiated our water rates with Great Lakes Water Authority to lock in our price, and we continue to update ordinances, which we're doing right now as well. Background factors that may impact the upcoming 2 years is property values. Is a slowdown coming yet to housing? If not, state road funding efforts. We continue to hit up the state on M53 updates. Last year, they did a lot of, we got them to repair a lot of the ramps, a lot of joints. That was a summer long of traffic because of all the repairs they did along M53. The chief and I have been on phone calls with the state numerous times for 30 mile and M53 to correct that intersection. We're continuing to work with that. We also have AEW that did a traffic study on that intersection, which we should be getting as well. The state economy impact on revenue sharing, retirements, as I just mentioned, sewer plant future expansion possibilities, fire expansion and staff impact, potential industrial projects that we have in the burners right now, commercial market uncertainty, significant infrastructure spend, bonding and interest changes, continued population migration, strategic venture decisions, long-term planning issues, and the newest hot topic, tariffs. Financial goals for the upcoming years is obviously to maintain overall millage rates. We continue to operate below millage rate, bond rating to maintain, if not improve, from our AA+. Continue to absorb the water rate increase and pass through the sewer rate increases to our residents, and hopefully develop and sell off the remaining 33 plus acres of industrial land we have at 30 in Powell. These are goals I list every year for our customer service goals, is the density yield review, our traffic study in the north end. I think it's time we look at the traffic study north of 29. We've done one south of 29. Again, continue our BSNA training for staff and begin our implementation of BSNA Cloud in the upcoming fiscal year, here too. Continue developing business outreach program, specifically to our downtown Van Dyke and along the Van Dyke corridor. I mentioned this the other night in a workshop. People don't realize we passed an ordinance back in late 2020 to prevent more multi-housing along Van Dyke, especially here in the corridor. It may be something we need to implement going north. But you don't realize how many developers want to develop more apartments here along Van Dyke, and we cut them off before it even approaches the PC. So again, commercial property along Van Dyke is where we're limited to have commercial, so it's very important to attract commercial property there, not multi-housing. At least that's my belief there. Continue to evaluate the south end density that we do have in our township. A lot of the population is all centered around here. Continue our cybersecurity updates and training with the township and the staff. And we have improved a lot. Our website, we've updated immensely. We've created a lot of fillable forms on the website. This has improved a lot of online, allowing residents to fill forms up. They could scan, send them in. It's cut a lot of the traffic into the building. It's allowed them to do a lot more online. If they prefer, of course, they're always welcome to come in. But it has cut down a lot of the phone calls. And when we do go to the BSNA iCloud, or cloud, there's actually more features to do more online as well. So there's a lot of perks to it, which will help the staff run more efficiently as well. These are some general and public improvement from our revolving fund. This year we'll have Powell Road Phase 2 from 30.5 to 32 mile paved. This is a $2.7 million project, which is our cost share of a $4.5 million project. This was approved by the board to be covered by ARPA funds, so it's no cost to the residents. 32 Mile and Mound, we did have the intersection corrected late last year. I think it was early November it was finished. We are waiting on the traffic light. Apparently it's behind the fire station being built right now. I mean, the fire department being built. The traffic light's taking time. And the other day of all things, a truck hit the blinking red of all things. So we had the police out there as well. Other roads for the board to consider in the future is 31 mile from Powell to Van Dyke, 31 mile from Sisson to Hidden Oaks. Our sidewalk program, we've put in the capital project each year $1 million for the sidewalk program. We've never spent the full million. We always spend under, but we put that amount, and it's not just, sidewalks is not as easy as people would think. You have to get the easements from people, and that's the slowdown of it, and Rich knows it better than I do. Our internal drive, that cul-de-sac, this is something if we want to design, again, to parcel out and design and build 33 acres we have at 30 in Powell. I've been pushing for this for Shaner to be paved from 26 to 27 mile. That will help alleviate some of the traffic off of Van Dyke and Jewel. This was designed last year, so I'm meeting with the Department of Roads next week to see if this can hopefully make the list. Snell Road has become a high traffic, I don't know what you will call it, hot curve there. We have less than a quarter mile there. All the routes lead people to take Snell Road. We did a count there. It's roughly 3,000 cars a day that go from 28 mile to Snell Road, or to Mount Vernon to Snell Road to Oakland County. My assumption is a lot of people work in Rochester and Auburn Hills, and this is a good back way to get there. We've had this designed as well. Giffords is wrapping this up, I think, right now. So we'll present this to the county as well. Annually, the township has participated in a limestone program for our dirt roads with the county for 3 miles. Last year, we started with Ray Township to since Hayes is a divider road, we each took half a mile at a time to kind of get Hayes Road built up with limestone there. We're also looking at Oakland Town, the Quinder Road as well, portions of that with possibly Oakland Township. We are looking at continuing our cemetery renovations. We've completed a lot in the last 2 years. We're looking at doing more in the next upcoming year or two. Our 26-mile bridge near the roundabout on 26 mile. This is covered again by, this is a $1.3 million project that was covered $850,000 by SEMCOG and $450,000 by ARPA. So there's no cost. This was all grant covered, basically. The project has started on 26 miles, so you'll see some construction there until hopefully the end of April will be completed. Then you'll just see the construction on site on the green space there. Again, I mentioned doing a traffic study in the northern part of the township to help a few areas we can improve on that. Again, future road resurfacing. I left this again. When I took office as a trustee, roads were like less than $500,000 per mile. Since then, it's over $2 million per mile. Again, we have put in for the TIP program on Mound Road from 29 to 32, which got accepted, which is huge. They would pay for 80% of it. The problem is it will not be done until 2027, so we're trying to speed that up so Charles isn't upset. DPW, some projects that we're looking into is the forced main sewer at 100,000. The Mountain Road to Par 4, we're looking to extend water from the entrance at 7 Lakes there to Par 4. This will help extend more fire suppression to that area. The new DPW building to help house all the equipment that we have stored outside. Again, our internal road to look at. The meter change out, that's an annual program. We do 200 meters a year. New hydrants, this is the last year of renewing, refurbishing hydrants. Van Dyke 28 to 29. We're really trying to push this. 28 to 29 has no water or sewer. That's really crippled the area, just attracting storage units and landscape companies. So to kind of help that area, we need to bring water and sewer to that area, not only for safety of water, but also to attract other businesses than storage units. Our annual SCADA upgrade, which is $50K. The next two, we need to do for our deep Jewel Road sewer study, it's about $100,000, and then to look at the Jewel Road lift station. That Jewel Road lift station is about 45 years old. It's Again, I've been hearing about it for about a decade that it needs to be replaced, so we're kind of using it on borrowed time, and we might have to move on it sooner than later this year. Again, the wastewater treatment plant tank covers and sewer manhole replacement program. I did put future capital projects. We started to bring water down 31 Mile. We stopped at Campground. 28 Mile, there are some people with interest to have water there, some people not. DPW water and sewer, again, we have exceptional equipment to preserve. We've spent a lot of money over the last few years in order to be a true DPW department. Again, we've talked about this now for about 4 years, is to propose about a 55,000 square foot DPW building. This would be built next to our wastewater treatment plant with a drive-through window for people to pay water bills if they don't want to get out of the car. More importantly, this will store all of our equipment, mainly for weather purposes, because a lot of this equipment, especially when it's below zero and it's snowy, it takes the staff a long time to clear the cars, get the cars warmed up, get them ready to go. It would also for security purposes, not to worry about any type of vandalism as well. And then I always throw this in, it would also be a free additional polling location. Our original DPW building, I would like to continue to use it for more for seasonal type stuff, like we have to store light poles, landscape equipment, snowplow equipment, fire hydrants. We store all sorts of things. The goal is within 5 years that DPW department would basically could service the whole township. We wouldn't have to outsource our lawn care, our snowplow services, and we could be a one-man stop shop here in Washington. Again, I've put in the budget to continue our partnership with Candace Miller. Annually, we do over a mile of cleaning drains in the county drains. We have 3 county drains here in Washington Township. It's a very good cost share, and I like to use this picture all the time. That's the Mount Vernon drain, which is the smallest of the 3, but you can kind of see the before and after. These Phragmites kind of take over the area. The roots go all over. Again, I always bring up there's beavers that come in, build dams, and dead trees and debris, and they really clean up the area, and it helps improve the area. Our main focus is usually Yates Drain, which we've done a mile at a time. The latest was at 27 Mile near Jewel. We did a mile over there. It's really transformed the area and helped drainage issues in the area. Again, this is kind of a sample drawing of the new DPW building. By doing this as well, we would politely remove all the DPW staff from this building, allowing us more space for the rest of the staff to expand and grow in our building. So it will help. It will help space needs that we've kind of outgrown this building, but by having DPW at a proper facility, we can have it here. You'll see in the packet the 2-year capital improvement budget program and the 5 to 10-year forecast. So we're trying to hopefully grow. We've been utilizing the DPW to help trim trees, take trees down, and instead of right now to cut a tree down, I know Audrey's getting prices of over $1,000 a tree easy by having it in-house with the proper equipment. I know we bought a wood chipper, and I know this is minor stuff, but instead of outsourcing all the stuff, we can actually utilize in-house. Some of the goals for the improvement. Sorry, this is a duplicate slide. I already read over this. Again, to continue our sidewalk master plan, we've been in it for 3 years. We've accomplished a lot so far. We've actually had connections to Hovell Elementary. Actually, we had they actually built a bridge over the drain part over there. Powell Middle School and the Romeo High School has additional sidewalk. We've done a lot on 29 Mile Road and continue, hopefully later this year as well. A lot of portions on Van Dyke, getting people to walk outside of the parking lots and to actually sidewalks. West Road, a lot of areas on Jewel Road as well. Our concentration, again, is mostly along Van Dyke, near schools and the Macomb Orchard Trail. Again, the bridge on 26 that is covered by ARPA and Southhawk. I also thanks to Michelle, who's our McComb Orchard Trail representative, we're putting together now with Spalding a package to do a crosswalk. They're going to put together basically a study. I wanted to put these crosswalks where all the points of the McComb Orchard Trail, like at West Road, 30 mile, 31 mile, 26 in Van Dyke. It's basically a push button. Sorry, I don't have a slide on it. So Spalding's putting together a package to present, especially here on Van Dyke as well, one from here to Pizza Nostalgia and one from the parking lot probably. This would be a huge cost savings as well. It has all the blinking lights, you push the button, and again, safety for pedestrians to use it. Again, this could be anywhere from 60 to 80% covered, so it's a huge savings. So we're hoping to hear back from them in a couple months. The upcoming project for this year, this was approved earlier this year, is better signage at Washington Township. The sign committee last year approved these projects. Last year we did the new township sign up front to help basically promote our events and what's going on here at the township. It's also proved to be invaluable when there is any type of township emergency like the sewer break. I could utilize that. These are basically to refresh our township signs. Ours are over 40 years old. They're falling apart. They're not well lit at night. There's been a lot of complaints on it, so I am looking to see if we can put the logo there on M53 there over the 26-mile bridge as well there. I keep promoting the adopt a spot to kind of, people if they want to adopt a spot where there is a welcome sign. I do want to thank Moreno's Landscaping. They've actually taken care of all the parking lot, municipal parking lot maintenance there. So with that, we'll go into the budgets. So we have our minor funds. Our first minor fund is the Streetlight Assessment Fund. These are subdivisions that, when they were developed, DTE at the time wouldn't deal with the subdivision. They would only deal with the municipality. Since then, the DTE will work with newer subs, so that's why you don't see a lot of, you'll see missing subs with lights here. So this fund is basically an in and out fund. These subdivisions will pay their portion of tax. We collect it and then we turn it over to DTE. So it's basically an in and out fund. Washington Point, there's actually two phases of Washington Point. You'll see they were on it. They were actually able to get off of this program and now they deal directly with DTE. So beginning this year, they'll be off this program with us. The liquor fund, this is, we receive state shared revenues, roughly around 18,000, and we use this against what sheriff enforcement there. So that's the sidewalk fund. We have 3 sidewalk funds. This sidewalk fund is for township-owned properties. If there is any cracks or sidewalk issues, this fund is used to do that. We've traditionally haven't spent a lot. Most of our sidewalk, again, is pretty new. It's under 5 years old, so there hasn't been a major need. But we've put in, we put an amount in just to be on the safe side. I know this year there's a portion off of, what is that? It's just north of the Barber. I don't know what that side street's called right now. Is it Pilgrim?
Just north of the Barber.
Yeah, we own that property that.
Yes, yep.
I forget the name. Pilgrim. It is Pilgrim, yeah. So we own that corner spot next to Barber there off of Pilgrim. The sidewalk there needs to be redone, so we'll be doing that this spring. The police fund, again, this is, you'll see that this is covering all, I call them 19 and a half deputies, because half a deputy is for us during the summer and off-school periods. The other half is working at the Romeo High School. It's Deputy Labish. Capital funds. This year you'll see we've actually tightened up on the capital funds. I have the list here. Basically, it's the 3 miles of limestone and our sidewalk program. Again, Powell Road is covered by the ARPA funds. that 30 mile and M53 ramp redesign, we're still investigating that with the state, so it's nothing yet. The 26-mile bridge road, that's again covered by ARPA and bond. I put in year 2 just more items to remember is, again, the sidewalk program, the traffic light at 26 and Hayes. This was put on hold about 3 years ago. I'm hoping the new supervisor of Ray Township would reconsider this so we can move forward with the traffic intersection at 26 and Hayes. Macomb Township, Shelby Township, and Washington Township all voted to approve this intersection. We're waiting on Ray Township to give the approval for that. Again, Shaner Road, 26 to 27 mile. I'm meeting with the Department of Roads next week, so I'm hoping to see if, hoping for this year, but probably realistic in a year or 2. But I put it here as a holding spot. Again, Snell Road, I put it on as a holding spot. Other roads, again, to look at paving 31-mile road from Van Dyke to Powell, and Mound Road tip program. Again, this is in the future. They would cover, again, 80%. I just put $500,000 as our portion for future hold. Cable fund, as you'll see, the total revenue, in the past, we used to receive over $400,000 a year. They're starting to decline a bit. This year is looking at around 380-ish. I'm showing next year around 370-ish. The Cable Commission's looking at this. We're working with the WBRW, and we're investigating these costs. That's it right now at this point. We're hoping to have more information in the upcoming months. The Cable Commission's working on this, and we're working with also Phyllis and Matt from WBRW. Fire and ambulance, oops, jumping in. I'm looking at mine, I'm not even looking at what you did. Sorry. Am I going too fast? Or? Oh.
You are not. No.
Like, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Fire department fund, fire revenue, as you'll see, fire and ambulance as well, we are operating below the voter-approved millage. I like to remind everyone, because it's always accused that we're using it the full amount, which we're not. So as you'll see here, we are showing the fire engine and the fire building on here. That's why, hello, am I still on? Oh, that's, is this working? Hello, okay. So we are investigating right now into a bond. Even though we do have the finances to pay for this, I know I've met with Audrey and Mike Nicely, Audrey Brown, Mike Nicely. The executive committee, we have been discussing doing a bond. We're working out to see what the specifics are. Again, it financially be beneficial to do it over a 20-year bond than rather paying cash all up front. We'll show it both ways and bring it back to the board hopefully soon. Ambulance fund, the ambulance and fire, for most things is all 50-50 cost shares, except when it comes to the ambulance, it strictly hits the ambulance, obviously, and the fire truck, obviously the fire truck, but everything's pretty much the same there. Again, both fire and ambulance for the time being is showing no increase in personnel for the time being. Next is enterprise funds. We have the building department. This year, I'm showing very tight this year. What has surprised us is though that the permits are actually very valuable because of the size of the homes. So we're going to be monitoring this month to month. With Dave's over here, we'll be working, watching this as we continue throughout the year. The problem with this is we have several subdivisions that we don't know if they're going to take place or not. We also got Myers, who's currently doing an upgrade, which will help benefit these numbers as well. So again, I like to do budgets more on the conservative side. Other people like to do it. I'd rather be more conservative and show on the tightness as well. DPW as well, you'll see the DPW continues to grow as well. Again, they're showing over the next 2 years to start looking at buying some more of, again, more of this capital items, no new addition to personnel. We're still operating at the same amount of personnel as well. General fund. Overall, you'll see these are all the accounts for the general fund. Again, I ran everything really on the tight side. If at a minimum, we should end up at roughly at a 521,000 fund balance at the end of the year. Next year, even larger. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I guess it's time for me to start getting bifocals. So we got, no, I'm joking. The real big increase overall, again, it's just the annual cost, the collective bargaining agreement, annual 3% increases for personnel. The big hit this year is insurance costs. This year, health insurance hit a lot of communities. We're reflecting close to 30% increase in insurance costs. That's the big hit for this year. So that's the reason of my extra scrutinizing of the budget this year was due to the health insurance. We are working with our vendor who handles all of our health insurance. He's thinking this is a one-year blip. We should return back to the normal 7% annual increase. So we'll know more by later this year if we need to take any steps on health insurance, if it should increase. Parks and Rec and STAR both presented their budgets. I know our board approved it. Bruce approved it, so now I'm not sure if Parks and Rec approved it or not. I am excited to report, after years of discussion, they are looking to add pavilions at the parks, restrooms at the park. I did submit the plans we did draw up for the splash park at Aikman for them to look at. The big part is developing new parks. We're actually looking, we may be getting a grant for another park that I had students at Romeo High School draw up, so I'm excited for that park. I'll be finding out about that hopefully soon. I also have another future park that we'll be announcing shortly, hopefully, and Romeo High School students also drew that up, so I'm kind of excited about these couple parks. And again, I want to thank you all for staying awake during this. And again, so tonight's my formal public hearing on the budget. We will, if there's no changes, we will vote on this at March 19th at our regularly scheduled board meeting. Does the board have any comments? Or I know you guys have seen this about 5 times already, so I tried to go a little faster, but I will publish this online if anybody at home wants to see it, or I can email it to you. Any other comments? Yeah, you can come to the podium. Yep. Yeah, so I keep that as a holding spot. Other revenue is, any potential sales we can do. So, I'm hoping to sell it by next year at the worst case, or we're looking at actually parceling it out and maybe selling bits and pieces. Right now that seems to be more popular, so, maybe 2 to 3 acres, not the 10 to 15 acre parcels. So. Sorry, the question was, what's the $3 million? And that's what I answered. You're listening at home. Sorry, I don't know if you can go to the mic, sorry. Just in case people are watching.
In the two-year capital improvement budget. There's not really a page number, but I guess that's in the middle. I live on Hayes Road, so it discusses the Hayes Road sewer improvements, Phase 2A and 2B, for 2028, it says. Is that something concrete or, you know?
That's all south of 26 Mile Road, outside.
Yeah.
That's nothing going
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I-
when we had that sewer break, the sewer line was actually Macomb Township.
Yeah,
So before, that pipe is getting up in age, so we're actually working on studying how to fix, I mean, not to fix it, I should say, to investigate if there is any other
okay.
corrections needed.
Because, yeah, I thought that was Shelby Township in that area.
It's technically on the Macomb side, it's like the four townships all touch there.
Okay, but it's not Washington Township, so.
Yeah, but the pipe belongs to us, that's why it falls on our responsibility.
I see.
Sorry.
I see.
I know the news couldn't understand it, they're like, how's it Washington Pipe and other community?
Right. And then there was talk on here, I'm not sure what page, 28-mile water line. Is that,
It's on the west side of the township, west of Mount.
that's all west? Okay.
It'll sound like places near you.
Just making sure, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, it's okay, thanks. If no other question, then I guess motion to, I mean, I can't. Anyone want to make a motion to close public hearing?
Need a motion to close the public hearing?
Yeah.
That's the motion.
Support.
Okay, motion by Stevenson, supported by Brown to close the public hearing. Roll call?
Stevenson.
Yes.
Brown, yes. Praviti.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you. We'll see you all, well, I'm not done, but yeah, March 19th will be the vote. Item 12, comments from audience on non-agenda items. If anybody would like to address the board on non-agenda items for 3 minutes max, come to the podium, state your name and address. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you very much. Next is elected officials update, community announcements. I did do our community survey. I will be publishing them, but I was held up with the budget. But I'm happy to announce we doubled what I had last year. Last year I had 556 respondents. This year I had over 1,260. I'm estimating it was around 1,260. April 11th is our 198th anniversary of Washington Township. As the Greater Washington Area Historical Society will be doing the event at the Abbey again. Tickets are $60 if anyone's interested. I have flyers in the lobby. We are honoring 6 individuals from the township as well. I did want to ask the board, April 2nd is our next board meeting. But March 31st, we have an amendment meeting. I was hoping we could reschedule the April 2nd to April 9th, if the board's okay with it, just because we're meeting down. I don't know if we really need a meeting April 2nd, but I said instead of canceling it, if I could push it off a week.
Is that a motion?
Well, that'd be my motion, but.
The next meeting is March 19th, but the amendment meeting is the 31st.
You want to move the second?
April 2nd to the 9th.
Cancel April 2nd. Keep the 9th.
So I was a
Why
little
are we
confused.
doing that?
Just because we have one on the 31st.
Oh.
We don't
How many
need two meetings
meetings?
2 days apart.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a lot.
I'll support your motion.
Okay. Motion by Praviti, seconded by Chaplin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Thanks. So this way Bob's got a free night. No, I'm joking.
You're never free, Bob.
So we'll have back-to-back 9th and 16th?
I mean, yeah, unless we don't need them both, then we can always cancel, but just to keep the 2 meetings that we did. Is there anything?
Yep. Taxes went very well. Thank you for everybody that participated and get them in quickly as we could. We had a 98% turnout, which is right around where we wanted to be at. Unfortunately, those ones that are not collected, we had to turn them over to the county, so we cannot accept any more payments here at the township for any type of taxes. The lockbox will be suspended. First State Bank will be suspended, so we cannot take any payments through there as well. If you attempt to try to do that, they're just going to be simply returned back to us, and then we're going to have to send you a letter. So anything that's going forward is going to have to be done through the county from them. This is, the job was done greatly because of Lisa, Lexi, and Claudia. They made this process very simple. It was one of the smoothest ones this year. So I just want to say thank you to them for helping it out and make sure it went smoothly, because without them and without the rest of these great employees here that we have, none of this would even be possible. So thank you for all the people that helped out with us to get this done.
One announcement. Tomorrow night, there will be a presentation by the Michigan Property Rights Development Program by John Crone of the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development on Thursday, March 6th at 7 p.m. Armada Township Hall. So that is open to the public. It's about property development rights, but Peter, I wanted to make sure you knew about that, invite you, because this is the guy that runs that program. If you had any questions about it, he would be the guy to talk to. So 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Armada Township Hall. Thank you.
Where's Armada Township Hall?
I wish I had the address. I don't have it in the email that he was sent.
You can't miss it, it's on North Avenue.
Yeah, you can't miss this right there.
Town, turn right.
Yeah.
I've never been there. The fish fries, I know, start this Friday next door at the Lions Club, so, or do they start today?
Churches are everywhere.
In the
Yeah.
churches, yeah. So,
Sportsmen.
support your local fish fry. No correspondence, otherwise. Anyone make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion by Praviti, seconded by Stevenson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. Thank you, everyone.